teams coming out here onto the main stage. Different badge, same dangerous roster looking for prey. It's Falcons!
Equipe fortíssima, antiga line da BBS e vencedores da Esports World Cup. Vale lembrar que um dos coaches é o Júlio, ex-jogador brasileiro e estrela do Cid. E agora recebam com muitas palmas eles que foram campeões do Major de Montreal, os nossos touros brasileiros w7m!
The name w7m still echoes through the concrete jungle of Sao Paulo, but this roster is looking to fill those boots here on home soil. Palu, the legendary Palu, who is enjoying his fans right now. Come and join me. The rest of you guys, go and take your seat. Licky Fak as well. Two men who I know are never strangers to a main stage. Palu, we've been here many times before, albeit with a different badge on your chest. Are you excited to be up here once again, but this time with w7m?
Of course I am. Like, being in my hometown, country is amazing. I'm just so excited to play here. Rapaziada aí é incrível, então eu tô muito ansioso, vai ser muito da hora.
For you, it's the same. You used to be on a stage like this, but now you are representing a new jersey, a new story. Is the story beginning right now?
Of course, the story begins now. We are really happy to do our first playoff, and I want to thank all the people here who cheers for us, and especially people there. Even here in Brazil, they come to support us, and we'll give everything for them.
Ele falou que está começando uma nova história aqui no Brasil. Ele está agradecendo ao pessoal que está torcendo para ele, especialmente a galera do lado de lá, que ali está cheio de touro.
You've been wanting a trophy for a very long time, Palu. Is this a case of proving a point since leaving Liquid, but also proving a point to yourself that you can do it when it counts?
I guess so. I have been, how can I say, I reached it so many times, but I was so close, so right now I just want to lift it.
Muito bom, ele falou que com a Liquid eles quase chegaram lá várias vezes, mas aqui ele tá nesses playoffs. É isso, né? Eu não ia falar nada que vai soar uma farpa aqui. Do you have something to say to your opponent?
Have fun.
Okay.
What do you want to say to him?
Just good game. It's going to be a great match.
Muito bom.
Two
vai
great
ser
guys.
ótimo match.
Thank you. Go and take your seats. Two wonderful players and two great men here. There was a nice bit of showmanship there, friendly, but once we get into the server, that all ends.
O Palu é um ursinho carinhoso, gente. Fala a verdade. Vamos começar esse jogo. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Well, Tim, the players might have been friendly between each other, but I tell you what, these fans in this arena want nothing but blood. You can feel it boiling over at this point. And I get the feeling this is not going to be a simple affair between these two teams. I'm Des. This is Tim, and we've got one hell of a quarterfinal coming up for you. Tim, how are you feeling today?
Good. I mean, I've watched the first two games, some great entertainment so far, some good siege, and I think it's just going to ramp up as the day goes on. Paolo and Likafak both being really polite to each other there, very friendly. I think that's about to end in around 20 or 30 seconds. Once they get inside of the server, that politeness is going to drop.
They're so nice, like cuddly teddy bears outside of the game, but you get in the server and it is all business is the crucial one.
100%.
You heard the dev speaking about it. It's one of those we look at it. For me, seeing Palu coming up against Shaiko, knowing again that that nemesis rivalry has existed for so long, and today one of them has to break that, this is what it's all about.
It really is. We'll see what the fans think here. It's a straight 50-50 split. This really is going to be one of the closest games of the day. You've got two different stories at the tournament, really. W7m have come through unbeaten, only had to play 3 days, got that bye on the 4th, were able to qualify. Falcons, it's been 50-50. There's been wins, there's been losses, there's been tough games, there's been easy games, they've had a bit of everything. But you just know, if these two can both turn up and deliver their best siege today in front of the Brazilian fans, we are in for one hell of a matchup that could Des go all the way.
Fingers crossed in, because it's what we want. You can hear the crowd, they rise up behind W7m as well. Make no mistakes, we know which way this crowd is aligned, and it is most definitely behind W7m. We spoke about Chalet, Tim. You saw the little preview of it a second ago. Gorgeous camera shot, by the way. I've got to give the production guys for that. It's fantastic. But Chalet, a map that both teams love. It's a similar story about Sky, Club. Even though it's not really one of W7m's favourite maps, they've got a brilliant win record on it. It's destined to be a fantastic series because there's no bad maps for either team in this pool.
No, absolutely not. And, you know, I don't know, I look at a game like this and I just think how lucky we are to be here in Brazil. It's wonderful to come back. You know, we've had a fantastic time, Des. It's always a beautiful country to get the opportunity to come and see, and then we get to see some beautiful siege alongside it. I'm not sure it gets better than this for a Friday evening back at home, but kind of an afternoon, late afternoon, early evening for us here in Brazil.
It's the one that we've clocked is how quick it goes dark here so far as well.
It's literally
so
20 past 5.
Pitch black.
Pitch black, done. Within about 2 minutes.
That's why we've got the lights up in the house as well. As you can see, everyone getting settled down and ready for this one. Just waiting for a few to get into lobby before we get ourselves going, but it shouldn't be too long now.
What about that trophy as well? It's our first time, obviously, on the broadcast here from the venue, and we've had the trophy revealed. We've seen that.
I did wonder,
Beautiful stuff.
at what point can you stop defining something as a trophy?
At what point does it become an object versus a trophy?
When is it just a shield or a hammer?
That is a trophy. Absolutely beautiful. I genuinely think we have some of the best design, most beautiful trophies in Siege. We have some absolute crackers across the years that I can think back to, and that certainly takes its pride of place up there at the top of them. It's absolutely beautiful stuff.
I remember when you speak to people outside of Siege Esports who are just like, wait, you guys lift a hammer for your world champion? It's like, yeah.
Why would you lift it?
Why not?
If hammer,
is that weird?
Yeah, if you can lift a hammer, then lift a hammer. Like, why would you not?
Obviously, we had a few events where it was like the busts of operators as well, with the head, the shoulders, the chest. It was really cool as well. Just again, like you say, some real cool stuff going into the design of these, and I think taking that home, it's definitely in every single player's minds. W7m, I think, have gone a little bit, I wouldn't say unnoticed. They've been undefeated. They're a fabulous team, but haven't played since Wednesday.
I think the fact that they didn't play those last 2 days has kind of taken them off the radar a little bit.
Exactly, and then for Falcons, again, not ignoring that last year they finished second at everything there was to finish second at. It was ridiculous how close they came, but could never quite get it done. They were knocked out, of course, by FaZe in the grand final, so FaZe could lift that hammer just a few months ago. Is this their year? Because if so, it's got to start here at Reload, in front of a tough crowd, in front of the home favourites to win this game as well. This is when you've really got to show what you can do. Yeah,
I mean, the pressure's on, and this is one of the big questions for me with Falcons. I've talked about it. I've said, you know, they were a team of energy and emotion, and what I mean by that is they're very reliant on it. When things aren't going their way, when the tough games, sometimes you see the team, the energy drops, and they lose round after round, and they struggle to get themselves back into it. We've seen that across the last year. I just feel like they need that breakthrough moment, but is it going to come here in Brazil? Liquefact doing an interview, you've got boos and the crowd are getting involved. This is a tough atmosphere for them to come and play in and to just shut that out. And for me, if they can do that and they can get wins here and they can win the tournament, that's a real big marker for Falcons going forward.
Norris is so locked in. He's so ready.
Super focused. He's ready to go.
I've loved him on the draw shows this week. It's
very funny.
It's been extremely
the draw shows
funny.
As a whole have been brilliant.
Yeah, Norris has been the staple for me. When we had the FaZe Furia draw out, he was like, what? Why? I couldn't believe it. It was great. As a quick update for you, we are just waiting for Falcons to get into the lobby so we can get things underway. W7m have just finished joining in themselves, and then Falcons can get in, and then we'll get this best of 3 underway. And a reminder, of course, there is still one more mega quarterfinal to come up after this as well. Loud versus Furia in this arena. Woohoo! It's going to be special.
Yeah, I mean, we've just seen the w7m supporters band there. This is, you know, they go all out for it here in Brazil. You get the drums in. Everybody's so loud, backing the team that they want. And like you say, that Furia versus Loud lineup later on this evening, I'm sure is going to absolutely deliver both in
They've got
and
a
out.
mascot down the front, though, as well. It's great. They've got everything going on.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Mascot, drums, fans. What else could you ask for as a team there that wants a bit of backing?
Absolutely
from the home
nothing.
crowd?
Absolutely. This is what I say. You know, this is what I say. It's going to be a test. It's going to be a real test for Falcons to show that they can shut this kind of environment out, focus on the siege, and just do their job. I think sometimes the teams, I think it's probably a little bit of motivation. You know, if you turn up and you're getting a few boos and you're the big underdog, you want to play a spoiler. You're like, yeah, bring it on.
I've had a sudden epiphany, Tim. I don't think we've yet hit the peak of CG Esports. Oh, bear with me. I know SI24 was special.
I think we've done pretty well.
I don't think we've hit the pinnacle until we've seen that mascot beaten down on a Falcons mascot at some point to settle a decider. Forget about round 15 of map 3. That doesn't count anymore. It's a fight to the death between two mascots, Tim.
I mean,
how it's
you know,
have to get
it's a
settled.
classic in British sports, really, is the old like mascot wrestling. You know, part way through a game, we do get it occasionally.
Oh, it would make for something pretty spectacular. I think we're almost done now. We've got the rest of Falcons jumping into the lobby, just waiting on our last one, and then we are good to go. So thank you for sticking with us for a couple of minutes here while we get the lobby sorted out. Again, it's for me, the two real ones. I know we had Leaky back up there speaking to Palu, but for me, it was more about that Shaiko and Palu storyline, because looking back at OGA Pit 2019, when Palu did last beat a roster with Shaiko on it, it was a very different affair back then. We had Lems, we had Panics from Mauer and Shiro. Very different team. And to now come here and be on a different team themselves, literally 8 different players beside those two, this for me is where this rivalry can now be established, what it looks like for the rest of the year. Do Falcons carry on with that dominance they've shown for the last 6 years? Or does Palu finally get one up on his opponents?
Well, that's it. There's so much history between the two. The Des picked up on it as well. Obviously, in Montreal, it was w7m who came out on top, winning their major title against what was then BDS, now Falcons. And then, if you look a little further back, the Esports World Cup, it was reversed. So they've both had those big moments against each other as rosters. We've got individual stories. Absolutely fantastic stuff coming up.
Well, you've been patient. You will have to wait no more. The game is now ready. Let's get underway with map 1 of this best of 3 between Falcons and w7m. A very brief moment of silence, Tim, and this is where things get real. Once you press start in the lobby, of course. Once we get underway with it, we're in for it, Tim. And for me, again, if I'm sat here with Falcons, I'm wondering about how this week has gone. It has not been their strongest showing, I think it's pretty fair to say. Many have looked at their performance and thought, this isn't the team that we know and love. This isn't one we used to see dominate and finish in grand final second place after grand final second place. Are they going to be able to do it here in front of the live audience? Will that lift them up, or will they be further crushed?
Yeah, you know,
Run!
we'll get into this one as soon.
I think Solitos had to run to the bathroom.
I think we've had a last-minute technical situation.
A bladder technical situation, Tim, unfortunately. I'll link it back up as well.
We're just taking the chance now, you know what?
I'll tell you what, he looks like a man that's running for the bathroom as well.
If it's happening, it's happening. So
they're all off. This is the strangest start to a game I think I've ever seen, guys.
we will get on in there just as soon as we can do. Just a reminder for everybody, of course, we are playing, of course, on CGX, so we've got those new features on the updated maps, so that's something to keep your eyes out for throughout this. Chalet is one of those updated maps, so we've got those new destructive environmental ingredients that you might see. Things like fire extinguishers on the wall can now be shot out and will create sort of a couple of seconds smoke. We've got the gas pipes that run down through certain levels in areas. You shoot them out, you get a couple of seconds of fire, much like a Goyo canister, but just a lot shorter than that. So those are some things to watch out for. A couple of changes with the operators as well. And hopefully you'll get to see the beauty of the new lighting and everything else that comes with it. It's looking great.
I think the op bands has definitely been the most
The op
interesting
bands I was going to come on to as well, of course. You know, we've got that new system in place.
Yeah, the op bans, I think, are a really fascinating one, and I really enjoy seeing how teams approach playing against Falcons. You know, I've long spoken about this on nearly every cast I've done with them. They have a few operators they tend to lean very heavily into, one of them being the Dokkaebi. And I think when they've had it taken away from them, Tim, you see them struggle in some rounds to make as much fort or take as much ground, move forward as quickly as they'd like to, and that's when they start to sweat against the clock. And historically, I've been used to seeing this team, I think about to a couple of years ago now, it was a little bit of a different roster, but they'd be able to execute often in many rounds. There's 60 seconds still left on the clock, and it's like, wow, they move quick. And I feel that's a good way of slowing them down, is take things like the Dokkaebi away from them. Of course, targeting Shaiko as well, banning away the Deimos is another massive one. If he gets given Deimos, he's going to pick it, Tim. I was looking at his operator pick rates. Despite how much Deimos has been banned away, it's still his joint most picked operator here at the tournament so far.
I'm going to assume that you can hear the band sort of firing up on stream.
You know what I loved earlier, bless him?
And I love how constant it is. Believe me, from Sao Paulo, from my experience, that will just be throughout the game. Like, the support is constant.
You know what I want to think this is, Tim? Top tier shithousery right now from Falcons.
Do you think?
Start watching a football game in the UK.
Do you think?
I think it is. Just a way to get in the heads a little bit, just to make them sweat.
You can see it
Disrupt
both ways,
the flow.
though. You know,
Norris was so composed.
does it disrupt their own flow, you know?
No, because they've emptied their flow out, Tim. They've gone to the bathroom, Tim. Never mind. I was going to say a second ago, you mentioned the drum and the band a second ago. Yeah. You love that one. Fett came over to us early because he's here co-streaming as well. Big shout out to all of our co-streamers for this event. But Fett came over and he was like, I've been really loud, like I'm just very aware that it might get picked up on the cast, and if it does, I'm sorry. And then you were just like, you know who's standing here, right? Tim's right here for one, but that band I think is going to drone, it's going to deafen both of you and just override it all. They are so loud. I'm struggling to hear myself think through the headset.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it was exactly the same in Sao Paulo. They come out and it's just from absolute minute one of the game, they will fire up and just try to rev their team up as much as they can. They sat right in front of w7m as well. The whole crowd in front of them is just like bouncing. They've got the inflatables out, the band's going. If those players need any motivation, if those players at any point need a reason to win a round, all they've got to do, Des, is just glance up.
Well, we are straight into our operator bans. Thank you very much for your patience. Hope you had a nice toilet break as well. You ran away just like Falcons did. Here we go, though, with things being taken off the board. To begin with, first operators to disappear and be magicked away are that Dokkaebi Tim. This is coming away from Falcons because w7m are also big Dokkaebi players.
Azame will get taken out. We know the value of her on the defence. Blackbeard and Kaid will be our final two. So no major surprises there, Des. We are seeing sort of a similar trend throughout the tournament. Obviously those power operators being the ones taken away, but Azame particularly able to reshape a lot of defensive sites, able to create new lines of sight. I'm particularly thinking about that top floor. If you're defending up there, you've got the piano area that can be defended really well by Azame. Extremely useful down in basement as well, around pillar and wine to try and sort of prevent that backsided push. So lots of use there. No surprise to see w7m taking that away.
Interestingly, a ban that you see quite a lot against Falcons, or at least we have throughout this week, has been the Mirror, targeted against Bride, who has played it a good few times. I thought we'd see it down here in the basement of Chalet, but instead, he's gone towards playing on the Maestro, Tim. And what do you normally see when you see a Maestro? Well, you see a Brava come in on the other side. And we saw a team earlier this week, I forget who it was, made a really smart call to ban away the Brava and then play things like a Maestro and other operators that could really benefit from that operator being off the table. It felt like such a niche ban, but they used it to great effect. And so here with Falcons, their view has been to not try and ban that Brava away. We're still going to play the Maestro here as well, but you've got things like Mute and Mozzie on side, all about denying those drones away and making heavy use of information to beat out w7m.
Let's get things underway then. Round one action phase will begin. Falcons on the defense to kick us off, and they are choosing to go down to the basement first of all. But as you just saw there, we've got Leakafat, Qzers both up on that top floor, Des. They're going to be trying to just stretch w7m as much as possible. They're there to waste time. They're there to maybe pick up a life if they can along the way, but it's not the end of the world if they don't. What is more important is that they make w7m worry. So the first question question we need to see w7m answer is, what are you doing about those roamers?
It works both ways, right? In the sense you've now saw one player drop away from that second floor because Parley was straight up to the garage wall, has got it opened up in 30 seconds or so. And the thing you instantly think that as Falcons is, are they rushing us? Are we getting hit here when there's too many of us off site? So I think it has pulled a couple of players back in towards site itself. I say that, Shaiko and Leakback are now both back up on that top floor, realise there isn't a rush coming in, so have re-spread their wings and gone out into the map.
Yeah, I think they've definitely made that call. We can just see a bit of damage being taken either way, but ultimately it's Solotov onto Volps. Users manages to find Dodez with a Nitro, and that is a great first assault really from Falcons there onto this attack. Gotta be careful there, Dots on the Monty, just showing his rear side to those defenders that are left inside of sight, and they will do a good bit of damage to the shield player there. Palu does manage to pick up Users, and w7m start fighting back.
Yeah, Users a little bit in the open here, Tim, but the key thing is they're looking for control of key parts of the map, looking for that dining control to have the hatch, and then also looking to get trench here so you can plant inside the barrels, break the barrel and plant where they currently stand and look to have cover behind it. But I'm concerned, with only 3 players on site, Tim, they can't hold this.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. The one sort of criticism I'd make of Falcons here is they've all got themselves back to site. They've got that man advantage. I feel like there's an opportunity for one of them to possibly play onto the west main stairs. What have they done with the hatch? You know, give yourself these opportunities. Solotov and Breeder making sure that it just doesn't matter. Dots finds one, taken down. And where I might have liked to have seen that flank, Des, it just wasn't important in the end. Couple of kills come in. w7m were limited. They were restricted to that rear side push. And Falcons managed to grab their primary site choice, lock it down. It's 1-0.
A little bit pedestrian from w7m in round 1, to be honest with you, Tim.
Yeah, they didn't really do any damage to the roamers. They didn't manage to chase them down. Falcons did the damage and just opted to go back to site. It was good stuff from them.
It started out pretty well, but this is again where I think the bans that we spoke about earlier, especially that Dockerby for me, are going to be really impactful because they're trying to find a way to clear Falcons from around the map. And in that round, then they led towards playing on a Jackal. I don't think I saw Lobin really get out and do any real tracking to try and close down those 2 top floor players. Shaiko and Leakback largely unchallenged, able to do whatever they pleased, and the round wasn't really a massive challenge for Falcons. So w7m going to brush themselves off here and go again. Probably got to be, though, appreciating the damage that those bans are going to do, and finding a way to adapt to that is going to be crucial here in this attacking half.
Up to the top floor we go then. Or is it kitchen? No, it's kitchen, sorry.
It is.
Just mixing up my silhouette. The players are up on the top floor. Going to be kitchen and dining then that Falcons look to hold on to now. As we can see, we're going to have a large top floor presence from Falcons here. They particularly want to hold on to that top floor site, as it would be Master and Office. That's the area because there's so much verticality down onto site. So what do w7m do about that? Well, you breach the office wall, get into library, get control of mezzanine, breach that office wall, and then you breach the main lobby wall into site, and it should force Falcons back a lot deeper and create that bit of space that they need.
Imagine there's a few at home that feel the same way I do now. Brava in round 2 after what we saw in round 1. Like, are they not checking out what's going on? In this round, it makes sense because there's those 2 bulletproof cameras in the back pocket of Users and Shaiko, both now deployed, that can be stolen away. There's things that are going to impede them, like the mute jammers that they also want to see taken away. And that's where you've got things like Twitch on side. A lot of drone work to go on. No Mozzie in this round to impede you. Playing a bit of cat and mouse here with the operator picks, Tim.
I'm interested to keep an eye on what they do about the hard breaching now. They've used 2 of those Selma chargers in and around library, so it means the office wall, whilst it's half soft, Falcons have chosen to leave it half soft and put some feet holes in it. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for w7m to use that to force them out of office. We've got a beautiful Nitro. Users managed to get one in the last round, doesn't find one there. Palu just able to sidestep and get away from that one, but as I say, going to be maybe a little tricky for w7m here. I'm just concerned they're not going to have as much hard breach as they might like.
Parley got away with that one as well. Leakback got away with it. Parley knew exactly where he was, came up and pre-fired onto him. You can see his health dropping low, but I think there was some support coming from Piano, from Shaiko, who swung out at the same time. They were trying to bait it, essentially. Palu didn't take any shots in the end, keeps himself going, just slightly steps away from that window and keeps himself alive. And now, Leakeback with the assist of that damage from earlier on has been taken down. Doda's picking him up.
Yeah, w7m have pretty much given up on the library side, Des. They're going all towards Solar, trying to get themselves into trophy. They've got Palu on double window, and they're just making it directly difficult on that top floor. We see a trade come in, which now sees Falcons sit with the advantage, 3 versus 2. 45 seconds left to go, but Dots has managed to get himself down trophy stairs and can start pressuring from the bottom, while Palu continues to mop them up from that double window up on the top floor.
Oh, here we go then. Dots going low, and Shaiko now facing off against it, but Usus gets Palu, who's done so much work from that double window, seemingly all game. I think getting shot there from above. You can see the player above in your outline. Dots is on site, but the problem is, Tim, they've got no vertical control. He is all alone. We'll try and make a plan happen here, but Usus and Shaiko know how to play out these scenarios, Tim. Like, surely they have an inkling that he's planting. They must know, because that's exactly what he's done. Drop comes on through, but Usus don't lose them. Hits a second in the round. They'll get the disable in, and Falcons go up 2-0.
Yeah, well played from Falcons there. I feel like w7m just didn't really do enough to disrupt them. We were talking about Master and Office and how important it is to control those areas. You could see there at the end, you know, the kind of vertical superiority that you hold from those positions. And Falcons were able to play there the entire round as they were never really disrupted. They were never really moved away. And this is why at the beginning I spoke about opening up that Office wall, make them feel a little bit of pressure. As it was, w7m kind of played towards Library, but then just said, nah, they dipped away. They went into Solo, looked to get down trophy stairs, but they just never had enough control. Dots could never really apply any pressure from down there because he was just getting hammered from those top floor players as soon as he came back up into Solo. So w7m need to, I think, be getting more control of those critical areas.
What I just love is they're down 0-2, and yet the fans are still going absolutely bonkers in the crowd.
It's crazy.
They don't stop.
That band is not going to stop the whole way through. Nope. Guaranteed.
Even if they lose, they'll be carrying on until the cows come home. All right then, round 3. Falcons so far looking in great control. Not really been too rattled by anything w7m throwing at them. Yes, that pass round a couple of close moments, but overwhelmingly, it feels like Falcons are the ones on top. And that reminder that once this round is over, Tim, we get another operator ban for either side. Falcons taking away another attacker, w7m taking away another defender.
This time from w7m, what's going to make the difference? That's how I try to think about these rounds, when a team has lost a couple in a row. So w7m, how did they get that first attack on the board? For me, I think map control does. Both of the last 2 rounds, first and second, the first round came down to 3 of them, all pushing from wine door, and then that round was all about just Solar. Very small areas of the map, working from double window and Solar. They're not disrupting Falcons, and they're not taking anything away from them. They're not stopping them playing in those positions that they want to begin. So here, I want to see them clear Library, Mezzanine, blue stairs, get that vertical control, give themselves something to work with to create some space inside of sight.
It's another operator in this round for me, Tim, that leans into that intel provision, but also intel denial. The soul is coming in here for Falcons. Yeah, of course, will help you with things like the Blitz Shield, but more than anything else, I think it's again about sniffing out more of those drones and denying it away from w7m. They've only got 2 out on the field, and you're looking at one of them right now, Tim, up inside a Library. It's just a spot where they're playing very starved from information when you pair things like the Mute with the Mozzie, or as we're seeing here, the Mute with the Solus. Everything is about keeping w7m constantly second-guessing where these players of Falcons are and being bitten by it. I really like it because it's such an aggressive defense across these first 3 rounds from Falcons. They're looking great.
w7m have to get moving here. They've not got themselves inside of the building. That's a really big kill from Leakeback. So Volt was out on Office balcony. He was the one that was going to come across and pressure, but how is Solotov completely unaware of Dots walking into Library? That gets the kill that Volt would have been looking for. So it kind of removes that advantage that Falcons had, but Leakeback users, they managed to chain a kill together each, and it's 4 versus 2. Falcons again denying w7m any real map control.
This is it, Tim. They've got control of Library, and they've lost 4 players to try and get it. Falcons again. This team, for the longest time, I very rarely regard as being an aggressive team. 2 years ago, the joke I'd often say is, how do you know they're roaming? They're playing a Valkyrie, because everything else was Goyo, Warden, Mute. It was all about being dug inside and playing hyper-defensively. This, I think, is matching w7m's pace, and they're actually outpacing them, Tim. There is very little they can do. 4 players still standing for Falcons. And w7m just are not in the game right now.
Triple kill from Leakeback just to close things out. And as I said, it was that first kill onto Volts for me. So it was off screen team, but Volps was moving onto off his balcony. He was going to be the one on the grim to pressure Solotov, because she just had Solotov, Mezzanine, and Shaiko blue stairs. So Volps goes in, challenges Solotov, Dots comes in through the window on the blitz and tries to get the kill.
I'd love a mute ban here, by the way.
As it was, the blitz got it done anyway, but I think just getting that opening kill from Leak of Fact then allowed Shaiko to drop downstairs and Falcons to just retreat under their own terms.
Well, shock horror team, straight after our bans, we're into a W7M timeout because it has not been pretty so far.
Na outra, a gente, mano, eu olhei, não tinha arame, não tinha porra nenhuma. No máximo era Fenrir, mas também que é 2 trap ativas, tá ligado? Eles estão cheios de espaço pra jogar. Então a gente só precisa estar dentro do mapa mais rápido pra poder jogar em cima das kills que a gente escolher, tá ligado? E a gente ditar o ritmo de jogo. A gente tá deixando eles escolherem as trocas mais ou menos igual aconteceu naquele lab. Então lembre daquela correção do Odd Hill? É a gente pegar e entrar. Tá dentro do mapa, vamos jogar pra Forte Bíblio? Bate na massa, vamos. Só que o primeiro step, rápido. Drone no pé, entrou garagem, subiu o animal, tenta uma kill rápida, tenta uma kill, para o round, aí domina. E aí a gente escolhe o que a gente quer, tá ligado? A gente dita esse ritmo. Vocês entenderam perfeitamente o que se bamba.
Bora, caralho.
Not going to pretend I understood a word there that Norris was saying.
I mean, the fans seemed to like it.
They did. It was out in the arena as well, so they got to hear what was being said, and of course they appreciate what they've heard. I've got question marks about the Fenrir ban though, Tim. Like, I know it's an operator we've seen Falcons play a few times across the tournament. They only played it here in the second round, and that was really the closest one that we've seen W7M come to winning a round itself. I think what's really hurting them here is the Valkyrie, and I mentioned I'd like to see a mute ban coming through because that has been the linchpin of their very heavy anti-drone gaming they're playing out. Top of your screen there, you could have seen there was one drone left alive there, and with about 60 seconds on the clock, they've been excellent at denying everything away from W7M, and that, if nothing else, screams to me, Tim, they have counter-prepped the living hell out of this and are not letting W7M play their game.
And you can see it playing out. Like I said, you know, W7M aren't getting inside of the map. They're not really going in and getting kills and taking out, and it's because they don't know what's in front of them. So give it another 20 seconds, try and get another drone in there, see if we can... You know, it's all about scratching for information, because in Siege, you're only really going into a gunfight blind as a last resort. You want that information in front of you. You want an idea of what you're going into. You don't want to have to face check a room not knowing if there's anybody in there. W7M right now, they need to just get themselves going. I think for me, I'd be looking at, you know, do we even just get into an area of the map that's not really heavily defended? Let's just get ourselves in there. Let's get ourselves established and give us, you know, something to work from.
This is the problem, Tim. As we've seen before, they've got control of Library and lost every single player trying to do it. It's been an absolute war to even get inside the map at the best of times. However, maybe now we're trying to see a bit more pressure coming in. Lobin from one side with the Blitz pushing in from the other. It is, sorry, the Monty at least is going to force Falcons back. So for the first time, not able to hold them to ground that otherwise they would have liked.
You can see as well Falcons growing in confidence as round by round goes on. We were talking about drones, and that's one that has at least not been found. Can W7M do anything with that intel? But for Falcons, you can see it. They're having a look out of the door. They're up at the boundaries. They're looking for those challenges. Palu does manage to take down Solotov, though. That's the Valkyrie gone. But straight away, you can see Solotov straight on those cams, feeding intel into his team. Meanwhile, W7M are down to 2 drones, Des, and there's more than half of the round left to go. Maybe a couple of extras for the Twitch. That's it.
This is what I keep speaking about, Tim. They've been so good at getting rid of probably what a lot of pre-placed Jones, to be fair to you. Shaiko here, I was going to say, was pincered as well inside the bar, and Gaming was a bit nervous about him hanging on there. They've tried to ignore him. Fair enough, they're still getting kills. They're into a 5 versus 3. Even Usus is being forced back here. So really, it's on Shaiko wherever he may be. I think now he's back on site. Actually, he's managed to get himself down those lobby stairs. He's managed to rejoin his team. W7 have got full map control to him. It may have cost them all the info in the round, but that doesn't matter because guns up, they can win this.
Not only have they got full map control, Des, but like I've been asking, they are using all of it. You've got Palu out towards main stairs. You've got Dots on blue stairs. You've got Lobin out towards west main stairs. They're looking to pressure every single angle, and they're looking to work together as a team. Users overextends at this point. Falcons, they had to take a risk, Des. They had to try and get themselves back into the round, but Users pays the price. 2v5 now, and it's all but over.
It's looking like a flawless round might be on the way, but of course Shaiko's the party stealer, but Tim, he's in a 1 versus 4 and there's a Monty still on the field. Yeah, Gimon might be in his foot, but this one looks cooked. Volps gets the kill on W7M. are finally on the board.
Yeah, managed to find their feet, and it comes on the back of that tactical timeout squad. Obviously, whatever Norris has said there has just injected a little bit of urgency into the team, giving them what they needed to get that first round on the board for themselves. A better attack. As I say, they played into areas where they were invited in. There was a little bit of space. They took it. They then won their gunfights, and then they pressured sight from everywhere. Good stuff from w7m.
The key thing they changed in that round for me, and I can only imagine this is the sort of stuff Norris raised to them, was we're trying to play fast, guys, and they're playing faster. We're getting crushed here, so let's slow things down. You saw that in the lineup they brought, right? The fact that they had drones to deal with, of course, is the Twitch. The fact they got Monty shields, that they've got the Nomad on side to lock down areas they've taken. The only time they really went quick was their initial entry into the top floor, when you had Lobin coming in from off his balcony, and you had the Monty coming into library. After that, they slowed everything down. Palu's entry was from outside the map, for example. So they didn't feel the need to rush. Like, it was almost like a let Falcons beat themselves. They'll go so fast and eventually they'll trip over, and we just catch them as they fall. It's the same with Usage trying to get really aggressive onto the Monty. They've paid the price there, so now all the onus goes over to Falcons. Are you going to slow things down here to match w7m, or are you going to try and go even faster and break your neck in the process?
I think Falcons need a 4-2 half here, so the job certainly isn't done for them on the defence. It's not going to be easy when they get onto the attack. w7m are a team that will play a little bit aggressively on defence. They'll go out into the map and look for those fights.
All right, faster is the answer.
About aggressive. They tried to slow them down. Falcons said, well, you know what? Let's go even quicker than we were. Shaco taking down Dots, and it's the Monty that's gone as well.
Such a crucial operator to pick off. Outside of that, again, I thought w7m were coming real smart here with things like the Deimos on side. Pick out players that you find out on the roam all by themselves with these drones, track them down and try to punish them as best you can, making use of that Monty to split the team up and be the safe spearhead for you. Without him on side now, everything is a risk. You're stepping in with a Deimos track. Oh, what if there's a second player nearby looking to bait that player and get a kill off the back of it? I just feel that takes a lot of the wind out of the sails of w7m here, and wouldn't be surprised to see Falcons just draw this round to a close without that key operator still on side.
Droning has been much better from w7m here. A minute into the round, still got 6 left alive. That's something that we're going to be monitoring, because Falcons have done such a good job of taking those drones away. But this time, w7m just playing with a little bit more intel.
It's because Falcons changed around their game plan as well. They're not really focusing on intel denial anymore. They're going for these 3 trap operators, right? In the Ella, in the Legion, in the Frost. Everything is to slow w7m down, probably even further, and try and catch them out as best they can. Step into the wrong room without droning it, and knowing again they've lost so many drones, well, guess what? There's an Ella mine to the face. You probably bring out that gunfight that follows, and they're in a good spot. It just shows that Falcons are always trying to stay one step ahead, and a very early spawn peak from Shaiko is exactly what's going to reward them in this round.
Last time around, when w7m were attacking Kitchen Dining, I spoke about this office wall and the fact they hadn't breached it, and it allowed Falcons to play in their original positions that they wanted to play in. But this time, the Hibana gets there. Volps is going to open that wall, and it does just force Falcons a little bit deeper. They now back into Bathroom, back into Solar. w7m are able to take a little bit of ground, a little bit of distance off them here. The problem is the damage might already be done in terms of man count.
Falcons have got 3 trap operators, don't remind, so what they're doing is playing behind those and just taking a step back each time. They had 3 players in Solar until about 5 seconds ago. They've all dropped back down to the site now because they know we're in a 5 versus 3. They've got less than a minute to play. We can sit on site and play for trades here, and they're screwed. They've still got a C4 to play behind at the same time, so it's really good game management by Falcons.
Lobin's just looking for that peek around the corner. He's fairly confident that there's not going to be anybody in Bathroom after the explosion ahead of him, but can't find where they are located. Falcons coming down those trophy stairs, but I'm not sure they're aware of the player underneath. Oh. Yes, they are, but not the one hiding underneath the stairs. Solotov manages to get Lobin Volps with one onto Shaco, but 8 seconds left to go. This is not going to happen. It's one of those trap stairs that finishes them off. Guman gets a kill, and like you said, there was just so much time burnt away from w7m. They took a lot of ground, but they took what they were given only.
Same as you said in the round, right? After that initial spawn peak came out, everything was about playing behind the traps to the side of Falcons, and one after another, they've had to clear out the frost mats to go through goo mines, deal with the Ellas popping off in your face as well. Just, it didn't matter what they seemed to do. They were always getting stung at every single turn. And again, I'll give it to Falcons. They've gone from playing at breakneck speed to slowing things right down in that round. Once they got the Monty, complete and utter change in mindset. Leakifat makes the call to slow it all down, and they punish w7m. I said it in the round, but game management by Falcons so far has been sublime.
Yeah, they are looking really, really good for a team that, you know, we've Don't always like Chalet that much, Des.
They love Chalet, Tim. Absolutely adore it.
Yeah, they really do, and they're showing exactly why at the minute. But they're going to be moving on to a map that they also adore, Des. It's not looking good for w7m right now, because for w7m like Sky, don't get me wrong, but Falcons are moving on there, and they're going to be more than comfortable to play, I would say, any team in the world on Sky. So
I think w7m will get into their rhythm starting out on the defense of that map, because I think outside of OT on this map, every team has chosen to start on defense when it comes around to their side selection. And looking at how the series went between, say, Fearex and Kag early, they won each other's map picks in that best of 3, and that final third map was a real close one. I wouldn't be surprised to see w7m come out, have a really strong defensive half when we get to Sky, and then just roll forward with momentum from there. But as we always say, Tim, 2 hours to a game of Siege. Chalet isn't even over yet. w7m could still bounce back in the second half.
yeah, of course they could do. Falcons gone in again with those traps. Frost, Ella, Legion, all there to delay and disrupt the w7m attack, who right now are still working on getting themselves into the building. Dores is the only one inside at the minute. He's been able to get himself into the basement on the Deimos. He's not playing any of those tracks yet, but he has at least taken that little bit of ground and can start making sure nobody is playing down there. But ultimately, it's going to be the top floor that w7m are coveting.
I'll always draw back to the bans, by the way, as well. Just so heavily denying away information with the Dockerby and the Grim being taken away that now we're leaning in towards Deimos and the Lion. I like it as a pairing. I kind of wish we'd seen it back earlier in this half, Tim, when we knew that Dockerby was taken away as a way of clearing out more of this map, because that's what they're trying to do. It's all about getting towards site. It's making use of Candelas to force players back from key areas, and of course, hopefully having a couple left when you come around to actually hitting the site itself.
At the minute, w7m haven't touched the top floor, really. Dores has got himself up there now. He's the only one, and he's going to come up against challenges. We can see we've got the outline there ahead of him, so he needs to be careful, really needs to be winning this fight against Solotov, who's currently playing on Mez. He's supported by Shaiko on blue stairs, and w7m haven't done anything to disrupt it. They've been working through kitchen dining, trying to pressure from that area, but they're now looking to move upstairs. Lobin has gone up in support as well. And what a beautiful kill Dores picks up as he just peeks around the corner on the vertical.
So the problem is here, everything that w7m are doing is being spotted out by Falcons. They've got 3 Valkyrie cameras down, 1 in Fireplace, 1 inside Library Hall, and 1 inside a kitchen. They've seen all these movements coming, and so far are stemming the tide.
We've seen some IQ played previously from w7m, but I think just not enough, because we're starting to see this damage mount up and mount up. 3 kills back-to-back for Falcons, 5-1 half, almost perfect performance from them so far. They have read w7m perfectly.
In multiple ways as well, because we spoke about that change in pace throughout the half. We've gone from playing extremely fast and aggressive to try and topple w7m. Then you've gone to playing behind trap operators when they've fallen back to playing on a shield. And I hate speaking about it so often. I don't, Tim, that's a lie. Dockerby being the ban for me was the big influence in that round, because w7m had no ability to go fast. They were being punished constantly by that ban coming out. Now we get the switch over to the other side. I really hope w7m have a defensive game plan here. Otherwise, this one is cooked and Chalet is over. Our bans have come on through, though. Deimos and Grim being taken away. That Shaiko target ban, no surprise at all. And, of course, seeing the Kaid and the Azami exactly the same as what we saw at w7m in the first half.
Yeah, Grim, of course, you know, a really important operator in the current meta. We see a decent pick rate for Grim because he's just so powerful in terms of moving defenders. And I often talk about this, disruption and moving defenders. Think about it yourself. You load into a game, you're going to play in your primary position. That is your strongest spot. You use the Grim to get in there, use those bees, force players to move around. See if you can pick them up when they are moving. Create space, take them out of that primary spot, disrupt what the defenders want to do. So w7m just giving themselves a bit of an opportunity to hold those power positions.
Look at the difference here in the lineups already, though, Tim. Like, w7m just screams defensive to me. Seeing the Echo, the Warden, the Mira, the Fenry, it's all about the Smoke as well, of course. Sitting back and being defensive. And for Falcons, for a second, they were like, all right, we'll go hard here, we'll run on the Dockerby, we'll run the Lion, we're going hard on our roam clear. And then now realise, actually, there's not really a need, to be fair. They're sitting quite far back. We can play this with double shield, Tim, and just run them down. So, very different dynamic in how the game is being played out. Dots might be in a world of hurt if he's not careful. If Falcons get eyes onto him, My God, is he getting punished and forced back?
Going straight up to the top floor w7m, which is a sight that we haven't seen from Falcons at all. They chose not to. It's another one of those top floor sites that maybe limits, I'd say less so. I talk about this often on sites like Night Haven top floor and Cafe top floor. I think Chalet does allow you a little bit more flexibility to play around the map still. You can have a presence over in library. There's a lot of verticality you can do from kitchen and dining should you choose to do so. So it doesn't quite limit you in the same way as something like Cafe maybe, where you tend to see everybody playing really tight up on that top floor. w7m have embraced that. They've got themselves out around the map. They have got a presence almost everywhere, but Falcons could bypass it, Des.
Straight into Ephemeria, as we can see nothing, but he's got to run past it here and straight in towards sight. And at the same time, Tim, they're pressuring with shields around the map. There's very little the w7m can do except get absolutely bowled over. Brede right in the thick of things here as well. A third player falls. They've sat back, Tim, and what have Falcons done? Ran them over like a train.
Absolutely beautiful from Falcons. I've just commented at the beginning of the round how w7m had set themselves up all over the map. We had Lobin out by Library. We had Palu down in the basement. And it just made it so easy for Falcons to take advantage. They are short-handed on site. In we go, get aggressive, get the kills. Palu gets picked up at the bottom of main stairs as he's trying to get back. Lobin gets picked up as he's trying to get back. And it was just, again, shock and awe coming in from Falcons.
That's exactly it, right? And this is the thing, on this map, if you speak to any team and ask them, how do you play Chalet, they'll say, you've got no choice but to go aggressive because it's such a small, tight map. If you sit on site and wait to get beat, that's exactly what's going to happen. You can't give up ground. You need to be able to contest everything. Falcons got the memo. w7m half got it. They've played very slow operators out on the roam and being hard punished by it. But for Falcons, hitting from 3 or 4 directions at the same time, dropping that door could be a way to have 2 shields and just overwhelming w7m. The comms must have been absolute chaos during that execute for the Brazilian side. They're down 6-1. This could be map 1 done and dusted, Tim. Like, it just feels like w7m have really met their maker right here on map 1.
I mean, they've got 5 rounds that they need to win now, back-to-back without mistakes.
And no timeout.
And no timeout against the Falcons side that are just running roughshod over them right now. Users 9-2. He has only died in 2 of 7 rounds. Just goes to show.
For most of the team, it's 2 or 3 deaths.
Yeah,
right?
you know, just going to show how limited the impact of w7m on this matchup has been so far. And that's uncharacteristic of the Brazilian side, Des.
It's crazy because Dodes especially, I mean, Dodes and Palu equally have had a fantastic tournament. Both sat around about 115 EPS between them, and it's just been scary. Like, their entry rate has been brilliant. They're the best entry team in the tournament by some margin. I think about 73% entry rate success is what they've found. On this map, it's been very, very 50-50. They've stayed in contention, admittedly, but here in this round at least, Solotov is gone. It's a start, Tim. The thing about that Dockerby I spoke about on the Lion, it's in the hands of Falcons here, and they can use this to punish.
Yeah, I feel like w7m sort of starting to get the message of we need to get aggressive here, we need to be going out of windows, we need to take a risk, but it may just be too little, too late. We see Leakerfact working underneath with the knock, trying to get a cheap kill if he can, moving around upon Destiny, but he misses his shots. The opportunity was there for him. Dodes punishes Leakerfact, takes him down, and w7m, on a rare occasion so far here on Chalet, have got a man advantage, 5 versus 3, and they can now is the time where they can start to sit back a little bit. We saw it from Falcons. Just move yourself back, give up a little bit of ground, let them come on to you.
This is the thing, right? You needed Solotov to be able to force this mirror away, and sure enough, he'll keep himself alive here, dodging around those nades as they come on through, but it's done the work to him. The fact that Leakerfact didn't bring him down when he was still recovering from the C4 animation tells you a lot. He's in a spot here where he really shouldn't be, and so far has held firm. Volks on for a 3K in the round, just Jesus and Brede to go. Why not make it a 4th? It is denied away with Palu getting the 5th kill of the round, but w7m get a 2nd on the board.
Yeah, much better from them, and it all started from that early round aggression from Volks, out of the window, picks up a kill, and all of a sudden Falcons looked a little bit rattled. They couldn't get themselves established, and it was a tough round for them. w7m controlled the map well, didn't give up any space, and just really won every single gunfight that they went into. Great round from Volks, exactly what w7m needed.
Now, what more can we do, Tim? Because as you rightly said after the start of last round, 5 rounds they need to win. They've got 1, there's 4 more still to go. And in this scenario, Falcons have only got to be right once. They've only got to catch someone trying to go for a spawn peek or blindside you and rush you. w7m can't afford to make a single mistake. They're relying on Falcons to be the one making the errors throughout the rest of these rounds. I'm hoping they can do it, but it just feels like it's a bit too unlikely that Falcons don't find a way through this defense at some point.
No, absolutely that. I mean, you know, we can't avoid the fact that before coming into that round, nobody on w7m had more than 3 kills. In 7 rounds, that's wild. They need to be stepping that up. Volps has done so with his 4K. Palu managed to get one as well. They now need other people to be joining Volps. They now need that to be an example, a motivator, the spark in the powder keg that fires them up. The supporters are in front of them going absolutely crazy. Even still, the volume is up. They just need to harness that energy to w7m.
Let's take a look at Falcons' lineup in this round. Very big focus on the vertical play, right? The interesting part being you can also use the vertical from below when you've got the Buck on side, but naturally you see him lined up alongside a Sledge, and you think, there's no floor that is safe inside of this map. Really what they want to try and do here is get control of that top floor with the line and the Dokkaebi, and then look to work vertical angles before trying to look to go in for a plant. On the other side, w7m, abandoning a little bit what we saw out of Falcons, leaning very heavily into those 2 trap operators of the Legion and the Frost. Of course, looking to lock things away and keep Falcons at bay, slow things down with the Castle and the Tubarão. Of course, how far away they get with that is a different conversation, but still lots for both teams to work through.
Solotov just taking out that default cam. Falcons making sure that they're doing the basics as well as the more complicated stuff. Dokkaebi, the users, has managed to just get inside of main lobby as well, but still w7m are largely in their original positions at the minute. Dodez is playing inside of office on the Tubarão, looking to deny out any hard breaching that might go on. Dots picks up Leaker fight, but there is a trade there for Solotov, 4 versus 4.
There's a great reverse shot as well. Keeps him square, of course. Really tend to see the attackers being the ones that lose out here because you're the ones that have still got utility in pocket. Defenders have often played theirs around the map. Deployable shield, for example, in Dots' back pocket is out on the field. Of course, the C4 is lost, but you're not going to moan that one too much when you've got rid of the Sledge in the process. Still with 1 call left and 2 more Lion scans to come on through. This stall game that I mentioned now can begin from Dodez on that Tubarão. Just waste as much time as possible here before you can see this top floor over to Falcons.
Yeah, just making it really difficult, and I've spoken about that position already, allowing them to keep themselves there. Brede manages to find the kill with the exothermic charge. It's a rare one, but we'll let Dodez off for that one. He was actually fighting somebody else. He just couldn't really move from that position.
The fuse was very short, and I think the fact that Solotov was downstairs, he went to go and shoot it off the wall. Dodez had no choice but to challenge him or abandon that wall, and they didn't want to let go so soon. Problem now, Tim, is they're down a man. Falcons can afford to play this for trades if they want and come out on top. There's still players upstairs that they can deal with, and they've got a phone call in back pocket still.
Time is possibly going to become the factor here for Falcons. They need to make sure they're not stalling out, that they're getting moving. The Dokkaebi call really needs to be that go signal to start moving in and thinking about getting the diffuser down, but you can see the man up above the Legion, Volps, he's in a critical position here. Palu manages to get users, and Volps makes a big play, and all of a sudden, w7m turn the round on its head. They managed to get the win, and you just feel that the winds might be switching here, Des.
Volps, the angel of death in that round, Tim. Playing that vertical. Got that final kill trade. Logan did go down, so it was technically a 1 versus 1, but Volps came out on top. That's 2 of the 5 that they had to win, and now we get more operator bans to come on through. Keen to see what both teams try and take away from each other. We know that Dokkaebi has been a bit of a nuisance. I'd look to see w7m take it away, because I think that takes some wind out of the sails of Falcons.
These w7m supporters need absolutely no excuse to be noisy, but w7m are starting to give them a few anyway. Fenrir and Dokkaebi will be our next 2 bans. Fenrir is more than reasonable operator that we've seen used on both sides of the table here so far by both teams, to good effect as well. So just going to remove that potential obstacle. Dokkaebi as well, we know the value of. We've just seen it used there by Falcons to try and spark that final push, that final take on site. It didn't quite work out for them, but they won't be trying it again. As w7m says, no more phone calls, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this team are fantastic at using the pairing of Deimos and Dokkaebi together, so I'm kind of glad that we've seen them both taken away here. May have taken 3 rounds to endure, but I actually think with this in place now, w7m, this is as good as it's going to get. You've taken away, again, 2 of those 3 big power operators. Grim, actually the most played operator by Falcons overall here, so not surprised to see that being a priority ahead of the Dokkaebi. But it now being offline, I think we'll let w7m get away with some real shenanigans out on their own, and you see that in the lineup, Tim. Triple operator coming out in terms of traps. You've got the Ella, you've got the Legion, you've got the Capcan, you've also, of course, got the Valkyrie on side. We saw this coming out of Falcons a lot back in the first half. Shoko was originally going to play the IQ in this round, but has stepped away to the Thinker. Haven't seen that one all that often this tournament, Tim.
No, quite a rare pickup.
Shoko used to play it a lot. It was one of his
I was going to say,
mains.
you know, as soon as it's Shako playing it, you gotta think, well, you know, it's certainly he's no stranger to the operator. So with a few of his usual operators taken away from him, it's you know, more than understandable. But powerful operator, you know, the ability to give that global health boost to his team and just get anybody back on their feet if they're down but not out and nobody can reach them. So plenty of value to be found there. 5 versus 5 still, 40 seconds into the round, and we've got Falcons at the moment just kind of spreading themselves around the map. There's a presence out towards library side, there's a presence out towards main lobby as well. Just looking to squeeze from both sides.
The frustration here is always going to be these trap operators. They're going to slow things down so much and make life hell to get inside the building in the first place, but then also move through it safely. And really what Falcons are looking at here with the double shield setup with that Thinker on side in the sense is a big focus on the execute. Of course, not forgetting the Capital. Everything is about getting a lot of space quickly with those shields and executing in behind things like the Send and the Capital. So it's about keeping as many of these operators alive as possible. It sounds like a really obvious thing to say, but this lineup more than any needs these operators to stay healthy.
Shako is just going to call in the nanobots just to give a little bit of support. Just holding that hatch. It's a tough one. Only gets the glance of the back of a leg. Can't quite land his shot. We continue on at 5 versus 5 as w7m, they're moving themselves around quite a lot now, and that's because of that top floor presence that Falcons are starting to build up, and they might just be able to get themselves into a planted position soon with this shield going in and doing some work. Dots will be down but not out. 1 minute left to go, but Lobin manages to pick up Leakerfight. That's the shield on the Monty out. We're going to have users taken out if he's not careful. 3v2 though, Des.
That was a bit of a mistake. Users is down to less than half HP, and he's in a bit of a mystery spot here. Breede's got the cross though. Palu, 1v3 will not be able to make it happen. A couple of rounds where it looked like it might be a bit shaky for Falcons, but Tim, a dominating performance no matter which way you slice it.
w7m were always going to come back at them, Des. They were always going to challenge. They just couldn't find enough. The damage had already been done. w7m really did lose that game in the first half of things, and Falcons just played it phenomenally on the defense. They had the answer at every occasion. Couple of rounds playing quick, playing aggressive, and then dipping away, and then follow that up by predicting what w7m do, using the traps and slowing them down beautifully.
Turns out Tim, a bathroom break off work, so we're going to go to a break ourselves. Back with you in just a few.
Keep an eye out for contact.
Available now.
sure. Just Chalet, it's a bloodbath. The Falcons absolutely sweep clear any thought of a Brazilian team having any dominance on that map. A 5-1 first half, Leo. 5-1.
And on w7m speak, nonetheless, I will say this. We said before, Falcons before SI Boston had a 12-win streak on that map, and there is a reason for it. It's the kind of map that requires you to have huge confidence in your plays, huge aggression. And if you look at Falcons there, they played the gunplay perfectly. They won every single one that mattered. Look at that aggression here. Outside main from Liquefac, consistently having the intel, consistently going aggressive, and consistently winning the gunfights.
The big thing that will determine this fixture, in my opinion, is the way that w7m play, how they will play the macro. Now, we said Falcons have really struggled against teams that sit back behind utility, play as a team, force executes. Conversely, when you get drawn into a brawl with Falcons, you usually end up getting knocked out. And that's exactly what w7m had here. You saw Falcons, they came with a game plan of aggression, 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 and w7m, they had nothing for it. The one round actually that they took a small piece of the map with a Monty, sat behind it and held flanks, they almost flawless Falcons. That was their one attacking round that they won, nothing else.
One thing that you should check right now, looking at this, look at the entries. Almost every single player on the side of Falcons is positive in entry, and almost every single one, 4 to 5, despite Bride, the hard support, all the others have been in an opening engagements. They've been all looking for these fights in defense especially, abusing two things, the intel and the trap operators, and it worked tremendously well.
Now, we do have a little bit of information for the viewers at home. Sometimes, you know, our words, they help paint a picture, but a clip kind of does a little bit better than that, Leo. It helps show what you're trying to say.
Let's visualize just exactly how that intel game was working. You're looking here at the Valkyrie,
nice camp,
placing a cam here in main, and you're gonna see that this utility, this intel game, is also being placed here with Shaiko on Legion, with that bulletproof that will be super important onto Piano. Now look at this. All of this information is being held by Liquefac on Ella, on Legion. They have Frost, they have 3 trap operators that can give them sound clues, plus the intel game. Now, if you look at this later in the round, see that bulletproof that is Piano? They've gotten all of the kills from that. If you look at this, in round 6, all the way at the end, that bulletproof is still on. They had an IQ against them. They had so many other operators, and they never got rid of
I think we counted in that round about 3 attackers had walked past that bulletproof, did not even know it was there.
Yeah.
Falcons are making the plays off the back of the information w7m didn't know existed.
There's one to take into your ranked game, that's for damn sure. It's starting to get loud in here, but before it gets any louder, we're going to go and have a chat with the players.
You guys just lost the map that you picked, so how do you deal with your confidence right now?
It's fine. We got some rounds in the last parts of the map, so it's fine. And Skyscraper was a map that was our top pick above Chalet. That's why we picked it. So it's fine. Going to the next map.
Just move on.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the match, you just ran out of the stage like crazy. What were you doing?
We don't have time here. We are just here to destroy everyone. That's why.
Okay. Thank you.
You know what they say. Small changes can make a big difference. Go on, try me. You're in for a real shock.
Well, that's a performance that I guess you will be reeling if you're one of the Brazilian fans behind us. You can hear it now. It's starting to get really damn loud in here. W7M are going to need to pull something out of the hat as we move to Skyscraper. A map that we were just talking about, gentlemen. If there's one kind of position you want to be in to bring back a little bit of performance, a little bit more smoothness to your overall performance, Jack, this is where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, W7M, they'll be starting out on the defense of Skyscraper. Now, when Falcons played Skyscraper against Loud, they got a 3-3 attack split. And the reason for that is that Falcons were very, very good at getting the, not the cross clears, the full clears were not going well, breaching walls were not going well, but when they were doing the direct site takes, W7M will have seen that VOD, and they should be ready for it, Leo.
And they also should be ready whenever they switch to attack to deny that intel game. For me, that's the big story. They've been getting abused by the Valkyrie, by the trap operators. This new operator ban system should allow them to now fix that issue.
Feels like it has to be a big change of playstyle onto Skyscraper. Play as a team, play behind that utility, and they'll stand a fighting chance.
Well, w7m, the team, the home crowd, oh my God, it's getting so loud in here. The home crowd team is slowly and surely losing faith. They've got to bring it back here on Skyscraper before we get underway with the action. Maria had a lovely chat with Norris.
W7M didn't play in Skyscraper in this tournament, so were you keeping like a secret for right now, this moment?
Cara, a gente não é que, pra ser bem sério, não teve oportunidades bem claras pra gente jogar. Até com a phase que a gente poderia gostar de jogar, a gente deixou aberto, só que eles decidiram por banco. Então só não rolou a oportunidade necessária mesmo. A gente gosta bastante do mapa, já jogou em outros campeonatos, então é só mais um.
Okay, thank you. They didn't have the opportunity to play. They really wanted to play against FaZe, but FaZe didn't pick, neither of them. So now that's the moment to play Skyscraper. It's a best of 3, so you have to surprise your opponents every map. So how are you planning to adapt and surprise them in the second map?
I think we don't need to adapt. Our game plan on Chalet was good, so we will just follow our game plan and that's it.
Yeah, you're doing right, so just keep doing the same stuff.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back to the casting desk, ready for Skyscraper. We are Tim. Now, the beauty in this, and where there's a bit of a saving grace for W7M, if you are a fan, is just a few days ago, Falcons played this map, they lost it to Loud. A very attacking-sided map at that time, but I imagine there's a few things they can look at that game and say, here's the key to winning.
I think that's exactly the key there, is that it feels like it was winnable for Falcons. They weren't completely overrun on it. It was maybe a little bit uncharacteristic of them from a couple of rounds. If they've fixed those errors, then W7M are really backs to the wall at the minute. This is going to be a tough one for them to get back into. They've got the crowd support, they've got everything they need, they've got the talent in the server. They didn't really deliver that in the first map. It's now or never.
You're hoping, at least to a degree, that because it's a bigger map, it is a little bit more bottlenecking, that you haven't got to worry about playing it so aggressively. We'll see W7M have a comfortable defensive path. We were suggesting that when we were at a scoreline of about 5-1 previously, just saying, okay, look, get to that second map, things are a bit different there. W7M can breathe a little bit more. I wouldn't be shocked to see them have a strong performance here. For me, again, a lot of this will come down to what operators do we see banned away? The Falcons get hamstrung, or do W7M go for relatively default bans that don't really change how Falcons approach the game?
We're going to be getting into this one any second.
No. Bathroom break.
Of course, I've forgotten about it.
It's W7M's turn this time, Tim.
Staple requirement for a bathroom break.
I'm pretty sure this time around we will not be having that happen again. It was a bit of a slower start last time, so I can understand why, okay, you sat there for 10 minutes, you want to run to the bathroom, fine. Now we're in a spot where everyone is in the lobby and pretty much ready to go. Coaches having their last few words with their teams. Of course, the crowd are very loudly, in case you can't tell already, behind W7M. Can they do it though, Tim, or is it 2-0 abound?
This is the thing, it's what we're going to find out in the next couple of minutes. Socials have definitely skewed in the favour of Team Falcons now. That was a straight 50-50 before we started this one. A lot of people switching sides now to back the Falcons.
Well, game is ready. Skyscraper awaits. Let's see if W7M can fight their way back in, or if Falcons will storm through with a 2-0. Skyscraper awaits. As I said, Tim, I think for W7M, they'll have a good first half here. They'll be comfortable. But Part of me in the back of my head looks at that last game against Loud, where Falcons won 3 attacks. W7M, sorry, Loud went on to win, I think, 4 or 5. So it was definitely an attacker-leaning Sky. Not the sort of thing I think I'd ever say. But will we see a repeat, or will we see W7M stonewall Falcons out? First couple of bans come on through, Kaid and Monty. Not at all surprised, Tim. Is that Monty? Bit of a nuisance from Falcons back on Chalet.
Yeah, see if we get the double electrification, maybe useful when you're thinking about places like Office Wall. We will indeed, so the Bandit as well. That's going to just free up, like I said, the Office Wall, but Geisha Wall as well. Make it a little bit quicker for Falcons on the attack to be able to get those breaches and start taking a little bit of map control. I feel like Skyscraper might actually suit W7M a little bit better today with the way that we saw them play on Chalet. It's a very, very small map in terms of the areas that you want to control, the areas that you need to control. And I mentioned that a few times on Chalet, they were struggling to really get a hold of those areas. I'm thinking particularly, you know, the game inside, trying to get Library and Mezzanine locked down. They never really had confident control of it when they were pushing onto basement. Tended to just be a very small push from the wine side, whereas on Skyscraper, I feel like they can get away with that to a degree. They don't need to take huge pieces of the map. You know, they need to maybe get a little bit of Geisha control, work across through Drum. That's all that they really, really need. Maybe just take top of Black Stairs, get a presence in Shrine. It will be enough to get the job done. So it might just help W7M a little bit when they get onto the attack.
I think the big one to look at, of course, is the Grim is available. So Yuzu's Shock Horror is going to dive straight across onto the Operator. Very often banned away against them. Admittedly, we see a lot of the team playing this Operator. I think Leaking Back, Breeday, sorry, I'm on about here. Yuzu's and I believe Solotov all play it quite a lot. So again, a very hot Operator for this team. That's why you saw it banned away in the previous map. But here that's been at least left open for them. But you said the Monty priority ban coming in. Not forgetting that, of course, Falcons played a lot of Blitz. They played a lot of Blackbeard. They've got other shields they can jump onto if they want here. It's a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't with the number of bans that you can make against this team, Tim. Whereas the Falcons have gone pretty straight run down the road here with the Kaid and the Bandit ban being taken away. Just don't want to get too impeded on these walls and not have to bring things like a Maverick or a Thatcher along with them.
Getting straight towards that Geisha Wall. Going to just need the Impact EMP to go out, as it will do. Leaking Back using Striker there to bring that extra bit of utility and enable them to be able to open that wall, but also have those secondary hard breach charges as well. Solotov picks up Dordes, and Falcons, it appears, in round 1, pick up where they left off.
At least to start, it is the entry battle that we're focusing on. Again for W7M, best in the tournament coming into this series, 73% entry success rate. Haven't had the same success here. Falcons have definitely put them to the task time and time again. It's stayed competitive, but not quite seen the highs that we've seen throughout their first 3 games here at Reload to date. But now at the very least, though, W7M are trying to challenge somewhat aggressively. Tim, we've got a player hanging around Geisha here. You've got one out towards Drum. Not wanting to give up too much ground to Falcons too early on. However, look at this. Dots is going out through the window, and Shaiko has been punished. A good read there that he'd be alone and getting a freebie. Oh! And the attempted trade from Leakify gets shut down. Dots finding his second, bolts another. Suddenly, W7M have completely flipped this round on its head, up into a 4 versus 2.
User's just looking to have a little peek onto the stairs, see if he can get anything going up there. He's going to
have a look, Tim.
He might not want to be honest with you. He's going to try to take that barbed wire out. Just signals his position to W7M. They look to make the challenge. A little bit of a sprint from Solotov. Picks up a beauty of a headshot there. Just pre-firing as he made the guess that Lobin was going to move his way across and challenge. He did. And all of a sudden, once again in this round, the momentum maybe shifts a little bit, and you look and think it could be winnable for Falcons. W7M need to be careful.
No utility to play behind, no C4s, no smokes, no nothing. It's all about the guns here, but they're not going to stop. Both Dots and Volts, a 2K each so far. Who's taking the third? It's going to be Volts. Easy first round. W7M on the board far earlier this time round than the last.
W7M close out that first round. I think that's exactly what they needed coming into Skyscraper. Obviously a rough start for them on Chalet. Get a round locked down, 1-0, just puts a bit of confidence, calms the team down a little bit. And also, they were pretty dominant throughout it. They lost that entry kill, but other than that, they were the ones that were definitely in charge there, making things very, very difficult for Falcons in terms of pushing in towards that side. So W7M will move us across the top floor. They will go this time to Office. and it's going to be much the reverse of what we saw last time. Falcons, will they attack direct to site? They've taken out the electrification, they've taken away the denial for the wall. They could go and hard breach straight away onto office and apply some direct pressure, or do they look to go from karaoke tea and move their way across?
It's a great example there of what happens when a team is just a couple of seconds out of sync as well. I mean, admittedly, Leakypat did not know that Dots was going to go and push Shaiko out on balcony, but the fact that he was a couple of seconds away at the bottom of Black Stairs gave Dots that time to get back to safety. Leakypat missed some crucial shots. It would have been a freebie if he was a little bit closer a bit sooner, but again, you're not going to have that read that someone is going to swing out onto balcony so freely. But it was great aggressive play and has got them off to a good start. Now really what we start talking about, Tim, is how the Falcons figure this one out. It was a really good solid defense. w7m wasted a lot of time around the map, didn't find themselves falling back to site until there was about 45 seconds to go. They've played it well, so it's a very different ball game to what we saw back on Chalet, and Falcons now are the ones that are going to be under fire.
Drone going out, just gather that intel, and it is likely going to be a push from Karaoke T side. A number of Falcons stacking up over that side at the minute. Leakypat just getting himself onto Black Balcony while the pressure is applied here towards Geisha as well from meeting window. We're going to see the impact trick just taking that Selma charge off the wall. Also going to be blocked up with a Kiba barricade, but Falcons are inside the map now. They're going to get the Claymore down just to try and protect that flank, clear out the mirror utility, and start working their way across.
They'll keep playing this merry dance, but they'll have more settlements to chew through, and sure enough, another one has just gone off and opened up. That wall into Geisha box, which means Uzi's now sat on that window, can at least challenge onto the player sat inside of it. I believe it's Palu who's sat nearby. That's why he's out of impact. Just tried to deny them away for as long as he can. The Falcons getting themselves set up, Tim, but half the round has played by, and don't forget, this is not the site. There is a lot of focus right now out towards this side of things, and surely a freebie for Palu, who finds Shaiko. Should have known that he was there because Uzi's been playing this dance with him for the last minute or so, but it's a bit of a freebie. Two back the other way, so suddenly it starts looking pretty good until Palu does it again. A second player down for free, but somehow Falcons keep on finding these kills around the map that equalizes everything Palu is doing.
Leakypat just holding his angles there. I think he thought he was going to push, but he wasn't. Users manages to find Palu. 3 versus 1 now, and as you say, every round that w7m aren't going to win is going to be a point of fear for them, because it puts them 1 round closer to being out of Reload and out of the Rio tournament. Try to get something going here, Lobin, just using that Toxic Babe canister to at least cut off 1 lane. It means that he can just worry about the Dragon side for 15 seconds or so, but with 45 left on the clock, 2 smoke canisters, I don't think is really going to cut it in this 1v3.
We've all been set like this, Tim, where your mates have all run off and died around the map and you're left alone against 4 or 5 players just like, really? Really? So Lobin knows now that this is an almost impossible situation to deal with, and as long as Falcons are going to say, don't go take him 1v1 after 1v1, this round is a surefire win, but Solotov had the confidence in himself to get the kill, and Lobin's off the board, 1 apiece.
A good response from Falcons, exactly what they needed. They're going to be looking to get this one done as quickly as possible. They've had a good record over the last year or so of getting to finals, so it's certainly not a problem for them to be playing in venues, on stages, with crowds. You know, they know what that's all about. Their particular personal challenge has been getting that final one, getting that last hurdle taken, and I think that's probably something for w7m to make sure they remember here, is in the forefront of the mind that Falcon will not, in the early stages at least, give away any unnecessary chances.
I've just seen what site we're going to, Tim, and no one's going to believe me when I say this until you see it yourself on screen. We're going down to bedroom and bathroom. You never get to see this on this map, but that's exactly where we're stepping. I'm pretty sure looking at like Freshest Bingo cards of old, it's always been the one site that was never picked, that maybe couldn't tick off that box. Well, if you're playing Bingo, there's been various of them out there. At least now you know you're going to see this site getting played. I don't know what sites we haven't actually seen at the tournament overall, Tim, but there's definitely one I'd expect to see there. So, an interesting selection, not a common one, I said. This means w7m have been cooking, Tim. They've been in the kitchen, they've got something prepared here, and Falcons are going to be the first one to get a taste.
Fox is just looking for that early opener. Have a little peek out of the window. I don't think he's going to get any joy. Falcons are looking very sharp today. I'm not sure they're going to be giving away too many freebies like that. Immediate attention coming over to the top floor, over to the office side, as we would expect. They're going to want some verticality. It's not a site that we see attacked too often, but you want to get control of VIP, get control of office, exhibition, start ripping up that floor a little bit, and again, just force those players out of sight. You can then maybe work through closet window, give yourself a little bit of space to maneuver on in. They're still working on those top floor walls at the minute. VIP has been impact tricked 3 times now. No more Selmas remaining, so there will be no access. There is a line of sight, but no access in through VIP wall.
They get rid of the cam? Yes, they do. That's taken away too. I like it, by the way. We saw it in the last round, this very big focus from Palu on playing the impact trick, and got away with it again this round. Only this time round, there are no Selmas left. So as you say, they can't get it open. The other problem being, Tim, if they try and exothermic it now, there's still another impact waiting in the back pocket of Palu. They don't get VIP open at this point. They can get a little sightline through it if they want, but at least from seeing on our other screen, everyone has dropped away from trying to play that angle, acknowledging they can't get through.
Blackbeard is going to get on in, but Dots taking down Shaiko just removes more and more room from Falcons here. Brede is just trying to dance about, see if he can get this diffuser down. Users is there on the cover. Brede will stick it. I'm not sure if w7m were aware of that or whether there was just nothing they could do, but they're playing in beautifully for the retake. They managed to get one. Can they find more? Falcons are just sat on top of each other at the minute. Brede with an important kill. 1v2. Users with the shield. It could be doable, Des.
Mate, he's using the environment so well here as well. Now he's truly invulnerable until he drops down the shield, finds one, the second step through, but he's got to bait this out. Half dips the shield as well. Has to win this out against the Valkyrie, though. In comes Volt, tries to go for it. They miss each other. Finally to the left, and Fox wins it out. Gets a headshot off the back of the parry, and they'll just about hold on to him. How much time on the clock left? Just under 3 seconds. Woo-hoo-hoo!
What a duel we saw there at the end. Users doing everything he could to just keep himself alive in the situation on the Blackbeard, but very, very tough for him. Of course, the shield break just coming in clutch for w7m, able to find those shots, and Volks closes it out. There was no panic in him, and you feel that Users just maybe had to take the chance of that gunfight a little bit sooner than he did. Obviously, it's a big risk, but you leave w7m having to hit the head if nothing else. But ultimately, Users was fighting a losing battle. It was a good effort from Falcons to get that diffuser down, gave themselves every chance, but w7m, cool, calm and collected in the retake, 2-1.
Became a classic question of who's stuck in there with who, right? The 2 players are stuck in. No way out, no windows. They knew what they got themselves involved into. Unfortunately for them, Volps is just that little bit better in the moment. Him and Dots having a great map so far. 3 rounds have gone by, though, as you can see. And we're in a position that we are. Interesting ban from w7m, Tim, that Thermite being taken away. Sure, you're not too best pleased about that as a
We don't like a Thermite ban.
Main.
No, we don't like a Thermite ban, Des. I just don't know who to pick if Thermite goes.
Who do you pick in that case? You go to Ace?
Nobody, I just quit. What else is there to do?
Dodge, dodge. Yeah, it being taken away.
No, I play a bit of Ace.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Not too. You got to live up to the namesake, right? It's kind
exactly
of
that. If I have to, I'll play another halfback.
Well, they've seen it on 2 sites there. Exhibition, it got picked up, and then of course downstairs it got picked up as well. Brede playing it in both of those. Imagine now you're going to see exactly what you spoke to, is he'll step across and instead playing on the Ace like you're seeing in this round. He played that back in round 1. It's not the end of the world. However, I think w7m with that are only going to double down on what we spoke about so far, which is playing so heavily behind, denying away breaches. More looking in towards those Selmas to keep things locked up. You might not see it on this site, but with future sites, keep a very close eye on that, because I think, Tim, they'll try and keep things like site walls or the VIP wall locked up tight.
Straight away, Brede is heading towards that Geisha wall. We saw Falcons open it up last time. Just going to get the Claymore down for the possibility of a jump out. I think they're aware that Lobin's roaming in and around that area. He is sort of close to terrace, dipping in and out between office and terrace. The Geisha wall open very, very quickly. Palu, you can see, just dips to play a little bit deeper there. Going to play more on that meeting wall. The Grim Bees will force him to just stay out of there as well. Falcons not actually been able to take any ground in Geisha yet, so at a little bit of a stalemate at that point. but Bride has moved across and he's going to support the effort to push in through off this side now. So Geisha, something that they can use later in the round, but for now, they need to clear those roamers.
It's going to be so impressive when they've got that done, though, Tim. Of course, the Dokkaebi helps out with it if required, but we've got the Grim, you've got the users, you've got the users. The Ying on side being played by users. Why not rename the operator in the process, Tim? I remember that one time I said Bunny on the Ying talking about Kendrew.
Bunny on the Ying.
But I don't know where that ever came from, but that was one of those moments again. Funny.
The users, we'll see where he goes as the round develops. Lobin is doing a great job here, actually. There's a minute 40 in on the frost, and he's still present. Shaiko is going to rip the head off Dots, though, with a beautiful kill. 5 versus 4 as they lose the smoke of all operators. But Lobin hasn't been dealt with. I said he was doing a great job. They've failed to find the kill onto him. 2 minutes and a life. He has taken 3 versus 3 now.
Yeah, it was really great and aggressive from Lobin there to go that aggressive. Solotov was off towards his right-hand side. I'm surprised Solotov wasn't watching. I don't know if he was on his drone or focused instead on Terrace Door, but he's kind of sold his teammate out a little bit there, Tim, giving his life away for free. Lobin at least got responded from Leak, in fact, jumping in through display window and just clearing out the backside of that site, which leaves us where we are now, a 3 versus 3, with only about 30 seconds to play. And look at Bolts ratting in. They have no idea that he's there. Ying is gone. Next one, step away. Next order, please. Solotov got it all to do against 3, and Tim, I don't think he's walking out of this one alive.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit easy on that second one for Bolts there. No pre-fire or anything coming through from Leafback just wasn't really ready for the fight. W7M, they managed to take themselves another round, 3-1, and they're starting to build a bit of momentum, and the Brazilians are looking dangerous.
It's the reverse scoreline that we had back on Chalet. If you recall, it got to that 3-1 point. Admittedly, Falcons have won 3 rounds in a row, so it was a bit more scary to face that prospect. But it does mean W7M are in a good position. We thought we might be, Tim. We're going to see another site being brought out here, down to Barbecue and Kitchen. I believe that's us then having played every single one of these sites on the map, Tim, which is always a good thing to see. Indeed,
yeah, at the point that we've got Barbecue Kitchen, W7M have taken us on the full tour.
Why not? The bathroom one will be the most interesting one, I think, looking at it if it gets picked up again. Not that I expect it will in this rotation. I don't think so. You're not going to see on Skate. That's a little bit different. But again, I think there was really good, again, aggression from W7M. Lobin especially, I'll give him all his flowers in that moment. Did a lot of work to bring down Bride, take up more hard breach away from the team there and force Leaky back to have to make a big play. The fact they drew all of the Dokkaebi calls in that moment as well to focus on these roamers on the extension meant there was nothing available for actually hitting site itself. Really good stuff. W7M showing a lot more comfort on this map so far. And I'll come back to what I said earlier. It's on Falcons to be the ones to figure their way through this. Otherwise, it could end up being a 4-1, even a 5-1 half.
Already I can see Falcons stacking up towards the Black Stairs corner of the map. I think we're going to see a little bit of entrance from there, but also Bride, as he always does, looking for that breach onto Geisha Wall. Needs to be careful here though. Dots is on one of the oldest peaks on the map, just having a little look out of storage there. Takes out the Brava drone, drops down a goo mine. He's doing some great work so far today, is Dots, and continuing here. That is going to be Geisha Wall opened up by Bride though.
I think it's quite a great key that they show early round aggression as well. Not forgetting that at 2:15 that first Dokkaebi call becomes available. We've seen a lot of patience being shown by Falcons throughout this map so far to only use it when they're in a spot to make something happen with it. They don't pop it early on to try and deal with roamers. And often that was kind of the focus, right? It's why the change came through, that you now get those 2 calls in charges rather than being something you have both immediately available at the start of the round. So there is a little window where you can capitalise if Falcons get a little bit too relaxed about things. That's exactly what Dots was looking for. If you get rid of Solotov there, that'll be a dream start because then neither call is available.
Straight away into Terrace after taking down the barricade. Just misses the head by a margin. And Dordes gets away with it. Look how low his health is. Managing to find Solotov. And that is unlucky for Falcons on a different day. Solotov wins that in 1 bullet. 5 versus 4. Falcons, they're still progressing well. They've got the presence inside of the office side of the map now. They need to start accelerating. A minute 40. Get yourselves across. You've got Leaker back inside of Terrace. He's trying to get aggressive. He's trying to take that ground so they can get some vertical control. But right now, with only a minute to go, it's a bit of a concern that Falcons haven't been anywhere near site.
It's been so fascinating seeing both teams just being so laissez-faire about a Valkyrie. So often you see a Valkyrie getting banned away or, you know, matched by an IQ, but both teams have let it go several times. And goes Shaiko, finished off by the shotgun from Volps as well. As uses that chance to get a bit of ground, but I think it's enough for them, Tim. They're quite well dug in here. w7m still got vertical control too, and they've got no idea about Dot's completely blind as to his position. Might get one more back on the other side, Tim, but this round's going just like the others. w7m dominating up 4-1.
Starting to give Falcons a little taste of their own medicine here, Des. This, of course, was what w7m faced themselves back on the first map of Chalet. Falcons came in and just ran all over them, and right now, Falcons just look neutral at best on the attack, Des. They just don't seem to really have any teeth. They're not taking, much like w7m were on Chalet, they're just failing to take any real control. Like I say there, they never pressured towards site. They got themselves into the top floor, got about as far as Drummond's Shrine, and then were unable to push any further. And they've just got to find a bit more of that bite that they had back on Chalet. It seemed like they have all the answers, whereas right now, doesn't seem like Falcons even know what the question is.
Completely agree. I think on a map like Chalet, as we remarked, that it was a bit smaller, a bit tighter. It was easy to be playing at that fast speed that we spoke about, right? And keep w7m destabilized. This one, you can't just rush your way through the map. There's too much that can go wrong with far too many bottlenecks. You have to play it more slow and calculated. And we heard Fresh and Leo speak about this. Often Falcons do get a bit caught up against very util-heavy teams that sit back and force them to have to work through these mini-games that exist throughout the round. And you've seen that an awful lot in this half. Unless we see a big change in the second half and an absolute shutout defense by Falcons, I think this map's going the way of w7m already.
I think you're right. It's going to take a real big turnaround. The thing is, Falcons need to learn from what they did in the first to w7m. They got 5-1 up. They were able to grab that round 6-1. It was, even though w7m improved their performance, it was just too much for them to come back from, and that's why this round is so essential for Falcons. They need to get the second round here. So they're going in 4-2. At that point, it doesn't feel like they've had, although it hasn't been a good half, it certainly doesn't then feel like the most terrible half, because you're only 2 rounds behind, whereas 5-1 down, with the way things are going, yeah, I think that might be a bit too much to ask of Falcons.
We'll see if they can get anything cooking here as well. They started out with drones, and everyone's gathered on this side of the map, not wanting to entertain the dance of Palu out towards the extension on Karaoke and T, and instead just starting to sniff around site very, very directly. Say that, and we have got users who I believe there. You're going to see the far distance of your view right now on the far side of the map. Nothing else trying to cut those, trying to rotate back to site, I expect, which there were a couple. I mentioned Palu early. You've also got the mirror of Dodez out that way as well, just in case, I keep saying PDS, in case Falcons do want to. After 6 years, Tim,
the thing is, we've covered these players for so long.
It's so strange, I have to say Falcons all the time now, absolutely. But Shaiko starts things off, it starts to fall. It's not the most key operator to catch out. It still means C4s are in back pocket here for both Dodez and Palu, but it's still a catch, Tim.
At the minute, there's a potential 5 versus 3 on site for Falcons. Palu is way off in Geisha at the minute, and Falcons are really stacking up around site. You've got Leakerpack roaming underneath on the Ash as well, so they're really not playing on that side of the map. Leakerpack does get caught out by the Banshee there, I think, just giving away his presence. He was trying to crouch walk his way up them stairs into a little surprise. Palu is going to start slowly thinking about making his way back across the map, but the damage might be done if Falcons can find a kill before he makes it, but they haven't been able to do so. 1 minute left to go, and Falcons continue this dance around the top floor. Leakerback picks up Dodez, and that creates a little bit of space for Falcons.
Great C4 over the top from Palu, finds one into a second. They didn't know that he'd come back towards site. Why wouldn't he? Uses with it all still to do. 2 smokes in back pocket. Could isolate an angle, but he knows gunfights is what he needs. And tries he might, Volks has found him out there. That returning flank from Palu being the deciding factor in that round.
A tough loss for Falcons there, especially to find themselves now at 5-1. w7m fully deserved the scoreline. They've played brilliantly, but that for me was Falcons' best round on attack. They really did some great work. They just couldn't take advantage of that situation they had where Palu was off-site, they had 1 dead, they had a 5v3 essentially there on site, but just couldn't aggress forward. w7m held them off until Palu could get back into position, and then he just played such a critical role in the last minute of that round. Falcons just shut out again, left in the cold, and they come into the second half 5-1 down.
Unsurprisingly, Tim, the crowd are absolutely loving it. Seeing w7m on top in this fashion, 5-1 up. Lots of ash on the other side. Our bans will come on through just to kind of let you know what those are here. Falcons have banned away the Dockerby once again from w7m, along with the Monty, and w7m have gone in towards the same bans that we saw from Falcons, with the Bandit and the Kaid being taken away.
Round 7 then, let's get into it. Falcons on the defense. You feel like they need a minimum, I think, Des, of 3 rounds back-to-back here. Coming in at 5-1 down, I always feel like the first thing you've got to do is get yourself back in touch, especially when you're on the defense. Complete that rotation, win every one of your sites, and it really sets your stall out and sends a message to that other team. We saw it in the first map, where Falcons were able to grab that first round quickly when they switched sides, get themselves onto 6-1. It was then too big a mountain for w7m to climb. So that's what w7m, by contrast, are going to be looking to do. A successful first attack here. They've got the Blackbeard for dots. That's going to be the focal point of the push. They're going to try and get him in, try and get him in the face of these defenders and use him to bully their way into some space.
That's the thing though, Tim, this is a hard map to do. You can put all your efforts on one room on the map if you want it, but there's only so many ways into it, and you can't just like push your way in through the other side of the map and then join in the middle. It's not that simple. That's the thing about Skyscraper. It has been one of our more defender-leaning maps for a long time because it is quite expansive. There are a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of single doorways that you need to be able to push your way through. It's not that straightforward here, trying to focus on getting this opened up from below, it seems, with a big focus on getting out any mute jumpers that might be attached to the wall, but also, of course, forcing back players who are trying to impact trick it out. They'll get away with it, though, if they really wanted to. Sure, the jammer's gone, and I can actually say that. An exothermic, of course, in hand, not a Selma, so it will 100% be opened up.
Going to have Dordes getting himself established out on the balcony then. As the droning continues, he is now in position to be able to move inside and start aggressing onto Leakafak, who is the one playing in that position. He's actually dropped away ahead of him, so that now gives the space to w7m. Something that we saw on Chalet, they didn't take space fantastically well when it was always offered to them. This time, I'd like to see them getting in a little bit quicker, take what is there. Dordes is going to move into office, drones are ahead of him, and that side of the map is now in the possession of w7m.
And Shoko is out here wasting a lot of time as well. You know, half the round gone by. Palu almost dead. Just dancing around with those keeper barriers and forcing them to have to expend utility. We saw the nades being used. But also, of course, using these as information. Once they get shot out, you know that a player is stepping on forwards and looking to take control of that space. Similar thing for the goo mines. Think back to the days of old when you could see where they were getting consumed around the map. Even today, they're still valuable because of the noise trigger that it gives to you. Here, Dots has fallen down a bit early on too, so having that shield on side is going to sting.
Yeah, it's a big pickup from Shaiko, that. Like I said, the Falcons needing 3 rounds back-to-back, in my opinion, to give them a real chance here. Shaiko just playing inside of meeting window, dipping himself back into Geisha. Solotov it's going to be to pick up Palu, and we've still got w7m with Volps on the rappel. They're struggling to get themselves that ground that I spoke about, struggling to get in and use what was given to them. 2 versus 5, Volps and Lobin trying to get anything going. What a response this has been from Falcons at the side switch. Solotov picks up Volps, and this could easily be a flawless round to kick things off for Falcons.
Users just absolutely cleared them out as well. Pushed in towards Drum. They got Diffuser down, the second player in Drum that was covering him. And of course, Lobin loses out in this round to a goo mine of all things as well. The goo kill something we haven't seen in quite a while, and that was just trying to get through a doorway as well. But a much more convincing round. This is kind of what I expected to see coming onto that defensive side again. It's harder to break things down on the attack. This could end up being one of those affairs, Tim, where it comes right up towards the wire.
Yeah, like I said, I'll wait yet. You know, don't want to get the Falcons fans too excited just yet. There's a lot of siege to be played, but that was a really, really good start from them. w7m, I think I saw shadows of what we saw on Chalet that concern me. They forced Leakafak out of exhibition really, really early. And it took another 20 seconds for Dordes to make his way into office. He had a drone at his feet, but they didn't really have any numbers. Everybody was just stood on the balcony outside of Terrace waiting to try and get into Geisha, but they couldn't get through Shaiko. They didn't really take that half of the map convincingly and then work from there. They didn't use it to build anything. They just lost bodies trying to force into Geisha. And I just think sometimes, you know, look at the space that you've got, look at the space that you're being afforded, and use it a little bit quicker, and w7m could surely benefit from that.
You saw the vast majority of the kills in our replays then were from very static positions by Falcon, Solotov especially. Yeah. Barely moving his feet on the castle, and yet picks up 2 for free. w7m was a little bit asleep at the wheel and not respecting that aggression could come out of Falcons at any moment, that they could be holding a more aggressive position, and that is exactly what we saw. Still quite a hill to climb, 3 rounds behind. w7m with every chance here to keep this going. One more round, Tim, and suddenly they've got that 4-round advantage that they need, where again, they have to make no mistakes. So, sorry, Falcons have got to make no mistakes, and w7m have only got to be right once.
Straight away onto that same balcony again that I spoke about. We'll see how much impact the Raura has. You say might just be able to create them a little bit of space. Smoke canister goes off, and that allows Dots to go rushing in towards site. Now, they need to deal with him quickly here, the Falcons, before support can make its way in, because there's going to be a smoke canister that dissipates, which it has done now, so Brede can support from terrace, but they've done nothing about it, and they've been punished. However, Dordes picks up the kill onto the worst operator that he could have team killed, the Blackbeard, but the kills keep raining in, and w7m have just run over Falcons at pace.
I was speaking to Dev Marta over breakfast this morning about Raura, and it was like, imagine you could use it on Windows, all these crazy ideas that you could use it with. And I was saying, for speaking to a few of the coaches here, we saw a few different angles on how they could use it. I'll come back into that in a second, though, Tim, because we have got a tack timeout coming on through.
Falar, guys, famoso pause obrigatório que deve estar rolando, guys. Listen, fucking idiots. Do you know? Mano, perfeito. A gente tá. Hã?
Como faz o guiso, né?
É, só acho uma coisa, se a gente for puxar mais pros splits, tentar usar um pouquinho mais de bonecão, puxar um Lion, etc, e ficar atento no terceiro ban.
Mas o foda é que quem que vai fazer isso?
Espero que não tenha.
Eu.
O Lobo.
Mas o Lobo é boneco. Né?
Então, aí só um bagulho. Atento no terceiro ban, na questão, tipo, por mais que o cara seja dependente de Azami, a gente lidar muito com Azami nesse mapa. E principalmente se ele tiver de Lion de DMR. Acho que um bom terceiro ban é Castle. Pra gente conseguir splitar bem. Talvez. Espera essa defesa. Só falar do próximo.
Take your best guess there, Tim. What did he say?
Keep doing what you're doing and you'll win this map.
Genius! Get him in the team!
Put me in, coach!
But that was beautiful. I spoke about the Raura, and I spoke to Dev Marshall about it over breakfast this morning, and they said, yeah, a few teams have said, we've got a few things that we can show. That was a really cool set-piece play, identifying that 3 players from Falcons were out towards Karaoke and T, making use, of course, of the smoke first and foremost, and then getting it deployed down onto the doorway, and it was then a long way walk to go round to Shrine, to then come down to Dragon, to then get back in towards the north side of site, especially when w7m were hitting you from the south, and it was, yeah, for a few moments a little bit tentative when you had the Blitz in there all by himself, and that team kill definitely didn't help things. But Falcons just had no easy way to get back to site. Their retreat angle was cut off. Really smart little bit of play there coming out from w7m. And like I said, Tim, they've now only got to be right once. Falcons cannot be wrong at all.
5 seconds remaining.
Into round 9 we go then. I said that Falcons really needed 3 rounds back-to-back. They were unable to deliver more than 1 before w7m could get themselves onto map point. This looks like we could be heading to a Clubhouse decided as, which I can't complain about. It's going to be absolutely fantastic between these two, but got to get there first. w7m need to make sure that they find their way over the line. Their attack in the last round was, well, I think it was the dictionary definition of shock and awe. Just sent the Blackbeard straight in towards sight. Falcons were unable to focus. They had to get that kill in the first 5 seconds or so, but couldn't. Dordes manages to pick up Leakerback, put a big double from Solotov and Shako. Keep Falcons fighting.
Yeah, that's diffuser down as well, so they're going to have to go and recover this one, w7m, even though they've only got the 3 players still on side. Bit of the map to work through. I believe it's down just outside of the Blackstairs window, actually down at the bottom, so it should be easily recoverable. But still a spot where they've now got to worry about the fact that Falcons can spread around the map. Definitely a way to help things out, though, is taking down Solotov. That's the mute offline. A C4 removed away. That means the first one that got the kill, gone. And, of course, the second one that was in the back pocket, now removed too.
3 versus 3 here. w7m every opportunity to close this out with the way that they are playing. They're making life an absolute misery for Falcons on this map. They've got the top floor control now. They can start working to create that space inside of site. Diffuser is not in anybody's hands at the minute. That's something they need to be aware of. It's been dropped in, I think it's dropped in Geisha, where they've lost somebody.
No,
so
just outside, it's on the floor outside the map.
Just outside of the map. So they're going to have to make sure that they think about that. 1 minute 15 left to go. Collecting it could be important, or they're going to have to play for the kills.
Playing for kills is always a risk on a map like this too. Again, knowing that you're, yeah, sure, numbers are all equal, but you're then dropping down relatively blind. You've only got the 2 drones on side, it's worth stressing at the same time. A lot of work still to do for them. We've got the time to do it though, Tim. 60 seconds actually quite a lot of time to work with here. For the most part, Falcons are dug back in. One player in each site, and then one sat out on Sushi.
Yeah, I'm pleased to see them go and get that diffuser so early on, rather leaving it to, you know, that last 20, 30 seconds. Get it done now, you've got it in hand, and you can start positioning and shaping exactly where this execution is going to happen. Falcons have actually done well for the last 30 seconds or so. They haven't really suffered to any of the pressure from w7m. They've got themselves into good positions, and right now, w7m are just burning time up on that top floor. They're trying to look through those verticals, trying to get a line of sight onto anybody. And meanwhile, Falcons keep playing behind that utility. Keep barricades going out, just burning through more and more seconds. 20 seconds left to go. Users takes a big challenge, but he's going to be cut down, Des.
From both angles there, one comes back from Shaiko. Massive round here, because it could send us into map 3. Breede's kept himself safe for now. Shaiko's still standing. They had to win that shot onto Palu, though, Tim. They may well rue this. Triple for Shaiko. Quad for Shaiko. Will not let his team die. Here on Sky, they take round 9.
6-3, but still lots of work to be done for Falcons. It wasn't, I would say, the most convincing round that I've ever seen them win, but it was solid from them. As I said, they kept themselves away from the pressure really, really well when w7m were taking that vertical control. They had about 1:20 did w7m to take up that floor and to try and find kills onto Falcons, but they just didn't really give them any opportunity until Users was moved into a position in that final 20 seconds where they could get him, but it was too little too late from w7m, so Falcons get themselves a good round, and w7m, depending on how this one goes, I feel like that's a round that they could kick themselves a little bit. They had a lot of time. At times they had man advantage as well. Could be a tough loss for them if this doesn't go their way.
I love the ban that's coming here as well, a mute ban coming out from w7m against Falcons. Not big surprise, I think, for Breede and Leakafak. It's their most played operator for both of them. Obviously passing it around and making use of it in the team. You'll see most teams at this level will use mute an awful lot. Just such a versatile operator. If you're great with the SMG, decent gun you can work with, ability to do rotates, a C4 in hand, and of course, 4 of those jammers that you can place down to tighten up that anti-information net across the map, really making bottlenecky and slow down attacking teams. They don't want to go pushing in blind and just expect they can win a gunfight into a completely blind room. They have to be able to clear it out and work their way through. So just a great way of slowing down the other side. And I think here W7M acknowledging that's been quite a roadblock for them across, especially round 7 and round 8. This could be their ticket to be able to move that little bit quick here in round 10 and get it done. 3 rounds to get it right though, Tim. There's a lot of space to work with.
Yeah, Solotov just waiting on the threshold of the terrace door there for a little peek for anybody rappelling. It's
Leakabac's on the breach as well, waiting. Same way Lobin was earlier on, hoping someone just steps in blind. Oh, the run out. He's goes in for the rappel, and he's found his man. Beautiful bit of play.
Really, really well played by Leakabak, and just exactly what Falcons need right now. It's just a quick sucker punch to w7m to let them know that they're in a game this round, that they're not just going to walk away with this one too easily. The big problem for Falcons, as we keep saying, is that scoreline. It's not necessarily grabbing individual rounds or having those big moments, those big plays. It's about doing it round after round after round with no mistakes. As it is, w7m, plenty of access to office and exhibition should they want it. They haven't been able to impact onto Geisha yet. It's looking like they're stacking up for a top black stairs push.
Ready at the hole here as well. They get that headshot. It had to be one of the two, and Solotov couldn't find his man. Bolts up to 14 and 3 on this map, Tim. Pretty fair to say. A lot of the success they've enjoyed so far has come directly from him.
Yeah, Volt's having an absolute cracker of a game so far. Just going to see Shaiko in his usual position, dancing between Meeting and Geisha. A little bit of pressure mounting for him now at the halfway mark as we see Geisha wall opened by Palu. So he may have an opportunity to go on in, but Shaiko goes out the window. They both lose their lives at the same time. 3 versus 3.
And leaking back into a second, they might be able to just hold on here, Tim, and it looks like they could have done enough. Volts, we've sung a lot of praise about him so far. 3 players to bring down here. Not the time to do it, admittedly, but it's a lot to ask when you've got very little information on what's going on around the map.
Fox just with that long angle across, looking for his man. He knows he needs to get a couple of kills here. Doesn't have Diffuser in hand and doesn't really have an option in a 1v3 to do anything with it, even if he did. It's all about trying to break these up into 1v1s, whereas Falcons, they just need to keep themselves in positions where they can impact on each other's deaths. They don't need to be taking peeks on. Breeder steps up, finds his man, and Falcons get another one back. It's 4-6.
Love Breeder there as well, being super passive on the main stairs, waiting for the call on where the player was before he makes the swing out. And this is what we've seen a number of teams at the tournament not quite get right, admittedly, Tim. However, I hear we've also got a tap timeout coming in here, so let's see what's going on.
Não, pode ver. É peitada rapidinho, mas eles estão todas as vezes esquivando full. Se ele não consegue essa kill no careca, ele ia pegar no máximo mais um turno e voltar. Então toda hora a caçada tá ficando free pra gente. A gente pegou aquela hora conseguiu progredir full a cozinha. O Ops entrou igual um maluco também lá na laje. O ponto é, se a gente conseguir botar forte na caçada, um exemplo, o Olo, a gente jogar bem, fazer aquela finalização pelo dragão igual a gente fazia, jump laje com peitada na porta, a gente vai conseguir dar bastante pressão pela caçada, só que mesmo assim eu quero split na finalização. Então, por exemplo, Bombiolo, eu quero os dois do dragão, eu quero um do verde e eu quero os caras do outro lado também, tá ligado? Eu quero
Right, again, well, I doubt you can translate it, Tim, but it sounded a little more focused, a bit more intense than last time we heard Norris chatting.
Yes, like you say, you know, there was smiles and laughs in the first timeout that was called by Falcons, but this time around, like you say, just a little bit more serious, a little bit more business. They know now, I feel like w7m are feeling the weight of this now. They know that they need to be getting this closed out. It's getting to that point. One more round for Falcons, and all of a sudden, you're looking at overtime.
If we go to overtime as a reminder as well, Falcons chose to start on the defense. They'll have 2 defensive rounds, and so far, we've only seen, what, 2 attacking round wins across the entire map. You would back Falcons to win it in overtime, and w7m, that 4-round margin they had to work with is now very, very quickly eroded. No more mistakes, boys. We've run out of time.
Yeah, I think if Falcons win this one, w7m start sweating a little bit, and you might just have them on the ropes at that point, have them rattled. Falcons, I kind of like to see them bring the aggression again. Leakerback with the run out really did a great job for him. I'm not saying you do the same thing necessarily, but, you know, if you hear a barricade getting knocked, go and have a shot at it. Go fight them at the boundaries a little bit. Don't allow w7m to get established. It is something that Falcons have done so far, is leave a little bit of room. I've commented a couple of times on the ease with which w7m have had access to the exhibition and office side, for example, when they've been attacking across the karaoke tee. This time on the switch of that, on the flip side, again, it's kind of similar. Falcons not too much of a presence over on the opposite side. Geisha has been given up, as Jesus, as he loses his life. It's advantage w7m.
Classic spot, because often you'll see Shoko playing on the Shrine window and waiting for players to rotate through Shrine. Well, they've just been caught out by exactly the same. Yuzu's gone for free there on the mirror, C4 taken with him. Really good start here. And w7m, as long as they play this carefully and sensibly from this point forward, they should be able to bring this to a close. It's very rare that you see top teams throwing away man advantage leads like this.
Picks up Solotov, and they just start compounding the problems now for Falcons, who are playing in a very, very small area. Leakerfact, Shaiko, Breeder, all within minibar and exhibition. That's it. That's the ground they hold at the minute. w7m, with 1:40 left on the clock, have all the time in the world to start building pressure onto those positions. They've got the site wall open. They've got a presence in Drum, a presence in Shrine. They can start pushing through in towards Dragon. They have got them surrounded.
It's the amount of utility they've still got to use here, Tim, that's crucial for me. Like, there is no reason for you to rush this and not make use of every advantage you've got. Take out those mirror windows with the Ash. Make use of the flashes sat in back pocket. Use those Grim Bees. They can really lock things down here. It was already looking like pretty surefire at a 5 versus 4. In a 5v3, you cannot be giving this one away. They crumble here, it's all going to fall apart for them. But sure enough, they make it another one, Tim. They're being slow and composed, and they're getting exactly what they need.
Like a python, w7m just continue to slowly, gently squeeze the life, the breath out of their opponents, and Falcons are struggling to breathe right now. Palu finds the final kill, and that's w7m taking us to mach 3.
Flawless round to close, and there may have been a few shaky shaky rounds, Tim, but that was a really impressive first half and a fantastic final attack to close things out. It feels like it had to end on top, Tim. It's a classic match here in Siege. Who comes out on top at this point? I don't know.
Falcons played Chalet brilliantly. W7m had an answer on Skyscraper and looked equally as good. I feel like they come into the final map so evenly matched, it's going to be a classic.
Well, as we start to warm up for our final match, we'll go to a quick break. Back with you in just a few.
Swapping mags. I'm reloading.
You know what they say. Small changes can make a big difference. Go on, try me. You're in for a real shock.
W7M now make this so much more interesting. They've got more in the tank. It was a closer affair in the end than I think they might have liked, but I tell you what, they looked clinical on Skyscraper. Everything we talked about in map 1 heading into map 2, Jack, you hit the nail on the head. Yep. They changed how they played, and by God, did they make it difficult.
Exactly that. We challenged them to change the win condition. They didn't get it right on Chalet. It was individual. It was aggressive. It was nowhere near the standards that they set themselves. As soon as they moved to Skyscraper, what did they do? They changed the operators. They went onto the army. They had a bandit and a cave band. They played for the impact triggering for the breach, and they forced Falcons through layers and layers and layers of utility, both in terms of people and actual operator utility, and we know that that's a weak point on Falcon. They, to be fair to them, a couple of clutch scenarios that they get through, but they get a 5-1 defensive split on Skyscraper, and from there, the scoreboard pressure, they managed to then take it out from there.
The exact same win condition that helped Falcons win Chalet, which was play the utility game, play layers, and play passive towards the bomb site, is exactly what w7m used on Skyscraper, one of the best maps in the map pool to do it, and that's what enabled them to go 5-1 in defense and then close it in attack. Now I will say the biggest difference here was the attack, because they consistently went for direct takes towards the bomb site. Instead of having to full roam clear, which clearly Falcons could not do, they went directly onto the bomb site, and that's what exactly enabled them to win the attack side.
And that is the hardest thing to do on Skyscraper, is to go from one side and sweep all the way through. And the reason being is the defenders can rotate so quickly to support that.
Layers upon layers
and you've got to play through so many layers, you run out of time. Whereas when w7m got their defense, they just went straight for the bomb site, pinched the players out of sight, and then just flooded.
Look, sometimes there's complexities to maps, and other times there's not. Sometimes it takes one player to step up. Now, granted, that's not what happened here, but by God, Volps absolutely popped off.
Listen, you're gonna call me a Volps fanboy? You know what? Sue me. This guy was absolutely amazing, and he was the biggest difference maker for w7m. Already in defense, in the roam, he was the one fighting for these extended sides and making sure that these guys could not be cleared. On the other side, when he went to attack, he was the one that got 2 and 3 kills, very important ones, to get these 2 attack rounds on the table.
He got a gnarly one-tap onto Solotop out there on the top black balcony as well. And I will say about Volps, he's a really interesting player, because when he tries too hard, when he tries to be the guy too hard, he often overextends, lets his team down. When he's playing in those roles, getting the kills that he should collect, you know, playing the cut-offs, he's such a good and such an important player for this roster.
Well, thanks for breaking down Skyscraper. We've got one more map to come, but you don't need to worry. We've still got plenty more to go. Maria is going to be chatting to the players right now, courtside.
Falcons just won one attack in this map. Is that something you guys gonna talk about now?
Not really. I think we just play with the fear, and I think we were just scared to win, sorry. But now we don't have the choice to win the last map, so we just have to play better in attack and in defense.
Even in stressful moments, we can notice that w7m just are having a great time, laughing a lot, and I guess that helps when you have a good environment to just play better, even when you're losing sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Like, we know what they are doing well, and we are trying to fix them, but of course you have to enjoy the moment. We are talking, trying to fix it, but they are also playing really well. So yeah, it doesn't matter. We are doing the best things we can, and that's it. We are going to the Clubhouse really confident right now.
Big things to see. Back on my bullshit, I do it for G's. Tuli kafunga tuka tuka keys. Squeezing and goofers in a leap of bills. Hey, we be getting more paper, no joking no more. We don't need no favors. Hey, and they know all better. We be getting more dough where they need more flavors. They must be hard, I want to see, I wanna wow. Ever since I made it, wanna wonder wow. We just wanna get down, what you do, I can't be out. Well, you do me down on, I keep you wow.
Well, right before we headed to a break, you heard from the players, and it was pretty simple. W7M, we're going to keep doing what we need to do to win the games. Falcons, we're not too happy. We need to stop playing with fear.
Stop playing scared. Exactly that.
Yeah, and look, it did feel a little reserved, but at the same time, I think we don't want to take away props from W7M, especially on Skyscraper. They did look phenomenal.
Yeah, they abused clearly starting on the defense side. For me, that was the main story. When you go in first side, you have 5 rounds up, you can just abuse it and then close the round later side. For me, this is why the side, whoever starts in defense in the next map will be for sure advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams have won on their opponent's map pick. Falcons winning out on Chalet, W7M winning out on Skyscraper. Now we go to Clubhouse. Now, Clubhouse, when we had the IGL Summit, they said it's about the map test the team that has the best fundamentals, the best teamwork, the best everything. Yeah. And Clubhouse does that. It's a perfect decider map. And I will say both of these teams on their maps that they've lost have looked a little bit shaky when it comes to their fundamental siege and playing as a team.
Now, the side that will get the most punished when you cannot have good fundamentals and clear the right way is the side that's starting in attack. In this very decider, Falcons is starting in defense, W7M starts in attack. They can gain the momentum again.
It's a little scary, don't you think?
It is. It's a big, because like Leo said, that keyword momentum. If Falcons can start getting a 4-2, 5-1 potentially on the defense, just because they have the positions that need to be attacked into, that's where they can start snowballing that into a victory.
All right, well, very quickly, before we deep dive into the map any further, Maria stood with both coaches to hear what they had to say about this final match.
Club is a map where Falcons and W7M are tied in results. So what do you think is going to be the difference now to make W7M win this time?
We're gonna do the same thing we do in Montreal. Only win, okay? Not known.
Ooh, okay. You struggle attacking the last map. So is there anything else you have noticed you need to change for Club?
Yeah, too many hesitation in attack. So we have to change this for Clubhouse. But we will do it.
Any more stuff?
Nothing, no. We will just do it.
Good luck.
Both coaches meant a few words, that's for damn sure. I think that maybe W7M felt a little bit more based, if you will. Yeah. Just do what we did in Montreal.
They had the momentum for themselves, you know, they're just fresh off the map. Norris is the guy.
Norris loves it.
Norris loves it. He's here for us. He's the star of the show, and obviously they don't want to give too much to us. One thing that I will say though, speaking with Falcons, consistently throughout this tournament, they've had trust issues. Liquefact maybe is being doubted in certain calls. They're hesitating, like you've said. I don't know what's happening in the team, but the comms needs to be clear, and for sure they need to trust Liquefact. He's one of the best IGL out there. They need to commit to his calls.
Yeah, like, you've got nothing to lose at this point. You've just got to trust in your leader, and things will sort themselves out.
Well, gents, thank you very much for breaking this one down. It's time for us to go to our incredible, illustrious duo, Ace and Des.
Thank you very much, Rob. Here we go then, Tim. We said we wanted to get to map 3, and Clubhouse feels like the perfect battleground for it. And Norris may have said a repeat of Montreal. It was an 8-6 scoreline. It was pretty close.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm expecting out of this last one. We've had two that have been a little bit one-sided in either direction. Score might not quite say that, but in performance terms it has been. So now I'm hoping that they both come and deliver their absolute A-game on Clubhouse. We know that it's a map that both of these teams can play really well. We've said it countless times. Everybody should be able to play Clubhouse really, really well. They need to come and deliver now. This is a little, I think it's more about mentality than performance now. It's about mental state, being able to get in there and do it when it really counts.
You heard the Des talking about, Leo specifically, about us pulling back to being, defender-sided here for Falcons. They should be able to get off to a good start, build some momentum. I think about Club, because it is quite a default map, it's a map that's been in the pool for a long time. Every team knows it and understands it to at least a semi-decent level. It's one of those where we've played Chalet, hyper-aggressive, all about getting around the map. Skyscraper, very big map, lots to work through as a team. Club for me kind of sits as the middle ground between the two. Some sites do ask you to do an awful lot. Others, like Cash and CC, really don't ask all that much of you. So this could be a really interesting mid-ground for both teams here. And I won't be shocked if we see overtime coming out.
We're back to 50%. We started at 50%. They were swayed a little bit in the middle, but they've returned to the status quo.
Well, Tim, Club is ready. Let's find out who's going through to the semi-finals. Is it Falcons? Is it W7M? We're going to find out right now. As I I said, Tim, last time it was 8-6. A very balanced affair between these two teams. Yes, w7m walked away the winner, but there's going to have to be a few more innovations, a few more tweaks and improvements if they're going to walk away here the victor once more.
It feels a little bit like it's a time for heroes now, Des. It feels like it's a time for that player. And we all know who it might be. On the side of Falcons, at least. But, you know, somebody like a Volps, somebody like a Breede, maybe even a Shaiko, who knows, to step up.
He exists.
To step up and really grab a hold of this one for their team. And the thing is, the server's full of them. There's 10 players in there who can all do it, and it's just who is going to be able to. We've gone through the banning phase. We've got Monty and Blackbeard. We've got Bandit and Kaid. They've gone, so we've got the electricity bans. We've got the shield bans, and we're going to get into this one.
We were looking at the stats in the break as well about how these two teams have stacked up so far. If you want to know who the big highlight standout player is, well, you haven't got to look very far. Just look back to the last map. Volps 24-11 he currently stands. 133 PS. He is flying clear of everyone else in the game. The current best performer on the side of BDS, Falcons, is Usus, 17-12. However, entry has been rough for the Falcons side so far. -3, they're down. At the minute, it's only Shaiko who's positive at 4-1. So as far as the numbers look, it's not the prettiest affair. Volps is on fire, w7m are great at getting their entry, and Falcons need to find a way into this.
Normally, I'd say that Falcons have maybe got a little bit of an advantage here, starting on the defense. It's going to give them the best foot forward in the game, but honestly, with this one, it really is. All prior expectations can be forgotten, because it wouldn't surprise me to see anything on this, an attacker side of Clubhouse, one player go wild, everybody be a bit quiet. Literally anything is possible now. We're starting off down in the basement for Falcons. They have a presence around the map. We've got Leakerback and Solotov up on the top floor for w7m to clear, but this early pressure through Dirt Tunnel from Dots might just encourage those two players back to site themselves.
He's got to be careful. Chance. Reray's got away with it there, and there's a jammer down as well. I mean, Dots can get out to the doorway here and really cause some bother, because Volps is starting to ask the question down blue. He's going to run through the fire, but no! Dies to the environmental, and Tim, it's a blue slaughter. Falcons decimating w7m as they step on forward. Only Dodez and Palu left on their feet. It already feels like round one has been decided.
It's just gone wildly wrong for them down in blue.
Why would you play that game with an environmental, man?
He's thinking, I've got time to get through. It was when he paused afterwards. He took a little bit of damage and then kind of stopped running and looked back at it. And it was like, no, it's just going to blow up in your face.
Ow, fire hurts. One of those moments, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Volps gets himself taken out on the blitz, and like you said, that really removes the spearhead. It removes the focal point of this w7m attack, but more than that, it allows Falcons the freedom to stay as long as they want up on the top floor. Solotov picks up Palu, leaving Dodez now in a 1 versus 5, and there's absolutely no need whatsoever for Solotov to return to site. He could come down and challenge.
Oh no, he's coming. He's coming.
He's going to come, but he's going to come, I would have expected, down the opposite way to make this challenge. That's where he's going. His castle barricade is there. He's trying to get an angle, maybe even get yourself back up and down red stairs.
Go for it.
Just, you know, get aggressive at this point, and I think put w7m to the sword, let them know what it's going to look like for them if they make mistakes.
It's a case of running that clock down, because I'm pretty sure all of you at home feel the same as us, that this round can only go one way, and it's going to be the Falcons' way. Yes, we've seen some ludicrous throws of epic proportions, but this kind of round you don't lose in a quarter-final. I have no idea where the hell Shaiko was shooting during that gunfight. Not that it matters, because there's 4 more players that can step up and have a go as well. Round 1 to Falcons. It was I think they spotted a gap and they saw an opportunity there, so fair play to w7m, but they just got absolutely clapped on when they tried to go for it.
Yeah, well, yeah, there was a number of things that went wrong. It was definitely trying to leave the Roamers out in the cold, as you said. They had the presence in blue, had the presence in dirt. It just shows, you know, we don't know how all the new elements in CJX are going to play out all the time. And the destructive environmental ingredients, we look at them and, you know, how often are we going to see them have an impact? We've just seen them have a huge impact on the round there. They've basically defined the round by getting that kill onto the blitz, because even if nobody else dies on the side of w7m, it's kind of your rush done, because you're wanting to go in behind the blitz. That's the leading point. You need them to go in and clear areas ahead of them. So big impact for the environmental ingredients in that round. 1-0 Falcons. and we're going up to Jim and Bedron.
Admittedly triggered by Shaiko, so forget about the player. I'm spraying the environmental near, and I'm sure it'll get me a freebie, because even if he doesn't kill the Blitz there, I didn't know the Blitz was going to be so far forward. It explodes and ends up being like a Goyo canister where it's going to burn out for a long time. There's very little that you can do about it. End up finding yourself held at bay. You can't rush forward anymore. Your team are relying on you, and you're not able to deliver the goods. Jim Bedron, though, as you say, up to that top floor. We'll see what changes here, because for w7m, that lineup felt a little bit strange in the last round too, at least what we saw being brought along. Looking in towards the Finker that came out, the Zofia was a bit like, okay, is it a normal lineup that you'd see coming through on this map? What are they cooking? And as we saw, not an awful lot. They were the ones getting cooked instead. Here you're going to see a focus on taking out Cash and CC. Very, very common on this site as well, because if you want to control the south balcony and the two windows that looking towards site, well, you need to make sure you're controlling the window inside of CC. So this is why you see defenders very commonly holding out towards Cash and CC, waste as much time as they can. They commit reinforcements out there, sometimes up to 3 players. Right now, there's only 2 from the side of Falcons, so not committing maybe as hard as some teams would, but still looking to slow w7m down.
Dots went straight over and got an exothermic, or started to put an exothermic on the jacuzzi wall, but hasn't stuck it, so he's taking it away. It looks like maybe going to use it elsewhere on the construction wall instead.
Did he leave it there? Because he hasn't got it in his back pocket.
I don't think it was left there. I can't see that it.
The construction wall is open, so it must be that.
It must have gone on to. I think, yeah, as I was saying it, he's applied it to construction, and obviously then not in his pocket anymore. So I know the mirror window did get taken out, but there's no way a professional player at this level is going to be putting the exothermic onto the mirror window for it to be sort of tricked off. So yeah, I think it's just gone across onto construction wall. They do have the ace charges, so they can get more of a line of sight. It may be that with the mirror window being opened up, they decided that was enough for them. It gave them the line of sight that they wanted. It prevents anybody from playing around that corner, so it was sufficient.
Probably one as an angle to make use of later. Of course, but the impacts in the back pocket of Solotov that you might be afraid of at the same time. All kinds of things could have weighed into it. Speaking of, Solotov's the one now getting tracked out, sniffed out by Lobin here as well. It's the right idea. They're going in for him here, and sure enough, Solotov has been cooked, and nades found him. There's guns trained on him at the same time, and finished off by a second nade coming on through. Well dispatched.
5 versus 4 as we have advantage w7m. Just looking how they're shaping up. Complete control of the south balcony, getting themselves into construction now, applying more and more pressure. Users has been really good with the nitros and explosives so far this game, and continues to be so. You won't get the bulletproof camera from that angle. Wishful thinking from w7m. They are in good positions though, and they can start to push forward towards site. Falcons are going to be under a lot of pressure in the next 10 seconds.
They've got a swarming ready from 2 spots here, though. Window in the main door, and Usus has got it trained and locked down. Palu's a little bit behind the curve here as well and trying to make something happen. Leaves one man on side by himself. They've been absolutely mowed down, but Palu has got 2. Can he save it for his team here? Usus has got to hold on. Yes, he does. Up to 5 kills for himself here, and Palu almost with the chance there to pull off what would have been a miraculous 1v3.
All in favour of Falcons at the minute. I think part of the problem for w7m there was it was just a little bit one-dimensional, was that attack from construction and windows.
Is that time out already from w7m? Let's listen in.
Bastante Sky. Estão dando mapa de novo, porque estão chocados. Só que a gente tá com pouco recurso para trabalhar essas entradas. Careca ficou preso no Fenrir. A gente poderia ter feito estilo uma Aurora. A gente splitar um pouquinho mais. Então, mano, quebrar, fazer um barulhinho nosso na Ponça 1, não deixar esses caras confortáveis, tá ligado? Eles estão dando muita coisa de graça. Então, mesma coisa, vai ser dinheiro. Pô, pega essa caçada pra gente, se tiver um gatilho, ó.
Vamos fazer aquela...
o
nome?
A caçada? A minha direta lá, né?
Acho que faz ela, mano.
Pode ser, exatamente, tá ligado? Pega tudo recurso pra gente jogar essa finalização. Academia, se mantiver...
I'm playing Valk Party Frost.
Hello?
Yeah. Okay. I think Jaeger is better than Maestro, but up to you guys.
At least from me, Tim, it seems a little bit, again, intense, a bit focused. To have a tap timeout this early on probably suggests that it's not going according to game plan. w7m already came in with an idea, same way that Falcons did have map 1 on how to respond to their opponent. We haven't really seen it come into the fore so far. That last attack was a little bit limp, relied on Palu, working a bit of magic at the end, but so far I'd argue Falcons don't really look pressured.
No, like I said, it was too one-dimensional. It was, you know, construction and south balcony windows. There was no pressure from logistics, nobody on the hatch. There was no pressure from main stairs. I don't think the window had been opened. The jacuzzi wall hadn't been breached. Yes, there was a mirror window hole in it because the glass had been dropped. But other than that, it's still a very limited line of sight, realistically, versus that wall being wide open.
And no control downstairs.
Exactly that.
C4 that came up was easy.
Falcons knew that they were never going to be pressured from anywhere but the windows and construction. And you saw exactly what happened. They were just able to front it up, all guns point in one direction, and they get the kills they need. Yes, w7m nearly worked a bit of magic, but it wasn't enough. And if you remember at the beginning of the game, I said one of these teams maybe needs a hero, needs somebody to just come through and power them to the finish line. And so far, that person has been users 5-0, doing great work for Falcons.
Well, now, a pretty confident 1v1 against Parlo in the previous round. Did come far closer than arguably it ever should have, but got away with it. With those cameras down from Leakerback as well. You saw him downstairs on the first floor and then, of course, working his way back through bedroom. This is the site, really, Tim, where if you feel like w7m are going to find any joy, it should be this one, because it's pretty direct and obvious on what you can do with this one. You always look to get the main breach opened up, which they've now already done inside 45 seconds, and then you either look to put your focus inside a construction or in through garage. Get your clearance up on towards Catwalk, normally a Monty. In this case, it could be a Blitz doing work for them. But for looking at where the drones are and where the players are scattered around, it feels like it's going to be a construction side push.
Yeah, it's all construction. There's no presence in garage. There's no presence. It's just phantom pressure onto CCTV. They've got the wall open, which you have to do, but they've not stationed anybody over there, so it is all going to be. The person to keep an eye on here is Leakerback. He is currently at the bottom of main stairs on the Valkyrie, and he's just waiting for his opportunity. Shaiko manages to get Dodez. If w7m aren't careful here, they will get caught out big time.
Dodez there has gone in very alone, and Shaiko, I think quite rightly, was a bit like, okay, is there no one on breach? Like, is no one playing Repel right now? No. They've all pushed to the other side of the map, so they were completely alone in that position and able to take out a 1 versus 1. Dodez overexposing himself and paying the price. Parlo at least gets one back, but if he died here too, Tim, it would have been the second player going down without response.
Leakerback has made the decision that he needs to switch and come back over to the other side. It's the correct decision. It shows a good understanding from Falcons as to what is going on. The pressure has moved away from construction. They've tried to push over onto CCTV breach, and it hasn't happened. Dots has been downed, Volps has been taken out, and it's now all up to Parlo once again. 1 versus 4 this time. 1 versus 3 he was close with last time, but surely won't get near this one. Brede peeks around. Des, it's 3-0 to Falcons, and w7m are crumbling before our eyes.
And falling apart at the basics here, Tim. That was really messy because they had a great idea. Smoke off the rotate from garage, smoke off the window, and then push in as a team. But one of the two players pushing in downed immediately. And then we had our Blitz player who vaulted through the window to try and chase down Solotov, who was still sat on Catwalk. Wasn't aware that Leakerback was sat on the far wall. Actually sees Leakerback at the last second and then completely forgets about Solotov, who's off to his right. And that shield dies without so much as a whimper in that round. It just completely crumbled before they even got moving because they'd only tried to tackle what was in front of them, not players that were returning to site from elsewhere.
We didn't know which this might look like, Chalet or Skyscraper, but right now it's looking a lot more like Chalet. This is the Falcons that we saw in map 1, who were clued in, who knew everything that was going to come their way, who played it perfectly. As you said, Leakerback just played that round beautifully. You could see him in the flow of the round. He was there for the flank, but as soon as w7m started relocating, they sent 3 over to CCTV and Catwalk. They obviously felt they didn't have what they needed for construction. They obviously felt it wasn't going their way, so they went to switch across, and immediately Leakerback tracks underneath and comes up in garage, and he's there ready to support his team with the fight. Great play from Falcons overall, great play from Leakerback in that round. Look at the stats across Falcons at the minute. 3-1 Solotov, 3-1 Brede, 5-0 users. Absolutely dominant right now.
Where was Volps when they needed him most, Tim? He vanished, and it's not looking too good. Falcons not even having to play as aggressive as they did back on Chalet either. Like, it sounds quite harsh, but in a way, w7m are beating themselves. It's the attacks just don't quite look as spread as they need to. It's very, very single-minded, as you said before. It's exactly the same story where it's just a little bit 1-2. Like, they're not really alternating too much, and for the most part, Falcons are barely having to move their feet and getting free kills. Like this, he's already nearly shut down this entire round, Tim. Might find a third here, still going fishing. You spoke about who needs to step up, Tim. For the most part, it's been users, but Shaiko has hit a nasty 2K there that all but guarantees this round is won, because look at who he's caught out. It's the 2 hard breachers.
Yeah, he certainly had his moments, that much is for sure. 5 versus 3, and w7m back to the drawing board once again.
He's not getting stung by that again, Tim.
Absolutely, Volks he's going to be scarred for life off that one, I think. He will be shooting that gas pipe out every time he goes anywhere near it, attack or defense. We see the Toxic Babe canister come out. It just tells us Falcons know exactly where w7m are. Again, Des, it's like they've got the playbook. They know what's coming. They know where the pressure is going to mount from, and they are ready to front it up. Look at that! Solotov hits him with the turn and burn, gives him the 180, takes him down at billiards. Doesn't really matter that he's lost his life after that, because again, Falcons can now play the trade game. Just a little bit too slow from Leakerfag.
Could have been another freebie. You'll take that as Solotov going 1-for-1 when there's only 3 players left on the other side, and of course has removed Lobin, taking the Capitao off board, and Leakerfag's got one from below here. It's just all too easy. I said earlier on, Tim, that this map, it's a bit more default. Every team can play it to at least a semi-decent standard. Falcons aren't having to do an awful lot here. Honestly, they're being quite aggressive and willing to challenge w7m very early on. But for w7m, in some of these rounds, it looks like their first time attacking onto Clubhouse.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's, you know, maybe the pressure getting to them. You know, this is a team that have got plenty of experience on stage, in big venues, in important matches, on Clubhouse. You know, but it just, I don't know, it seems like something's just got to them, and they've switched off at the wrong time here because Falcons are running over them. This is going to be a speed run for the win if this continues. 4-0. You know, let's focus on Falcons though, Des, because right now they look absolutely electric.
Taking a read of the dissertation of study, no doubt put together by the backroom staff on this team. Back on Chalet, we said the counter prep was absolutely sublime. Everything that w7m threw at the Falcons had an answer, and it feels the same here once again. Admittedly, somewhat helped by not seeing w7m at their best on this map, but Falcons just look ready for anything that seems to head their way. Gym and bedroom we head to in round 5. Already seen a good round here. We've noted before about the one-dimensional nature of w7m, very focused on construction, drawing that south balcony window. That's really all they had to work with. There were C4s coming in from below, there were longer angles taken up by multiple players, and if not for a Palu flourish near the end, it would have been a near flawless round.
Yeah, they need to make sure they're working from multiple angles here. Get a bit of pressure onto Logistics Hatch. Get a little bit of pressure up main stairs maybe. You know, like you said, Des, work from underneath. You've got Lobin on the Deimos. Get under there, get some tracks. Force Falcons to move around. Don't allow them to just look in one direction. As it is, Falcons are going to be trying to hold on to cash, but they're not, I don't think, committing too much utility out there. They've got users, they've got Leakerfag. They're still setting up that area. They've reinforced the CCTV wall, which is going to get open very, very quickly. But in terms of manpower, it's a little bit limited for Falcons over there. w7m need to recognise that. Get in there quickly. Get aggressive and take the ground.
All right. Same as last time around, Tim. The focus is on getting out the extended hold breach open and then also getting the single wall opened up at the same time. At least here things start out better. Lobin, he's been pretty quiet this series. Tim, the lowest rated player for w7m, but we've seen what this man can do many a time over. Has torn the round open. Dodo's into another, a trade coming back through, but this is man advantage by quite a significant margin here for w7m. Breeday's got to hold on, all on his lonesome.
And where has Lobin's success come from? Inside of Logistics. Do something different, mix it up, force them to look around. Breeder gets 1v4 becomes a 1v3. Surely not from Breeder. We see the nade coming in. They know exactly where he is. It's over for Breeder. You got to feel for him. Utility after utility thrown his way. w7m all smiles as they managed to secure their first round, and it was much better. The adaptation from w7m. What didn't work last time? We were too one-dimensional. What do we do this time? We drop Lobin unexpectedly into Logistics. We attack from the back. At that point, Falcons were all focused still towards CCTV, cash, construction, south balcony, and they got hit hard. Lobin breaks the round wide open.
At the end of the day, Tim, having one round on the board is better than none, and even if they lose this next round, at least they've given themselves the smallest margin for error going into that second half. It's definitely Lobin tearing in, as you just seen on the replay there, completely deleting the backline of Falcons and really opening that round up for the rest of his team, and I like that. Being willing to make this play that does expose Falcons, that doesn't let them sit there comfortably and wait for you to push. Instead, you go to them when they least expect it. Completely decimate them. Good stuff.
But it doesn't just win you the one round either, because now Falcons are thinking about that and thinking, right, we've had it pretty easy in the first 3 or 4. They've pretty much played into our defense. It's been one-dimensional, but hang on a minute. They've recognized that. They've come in on the backside. They've given us a little bit of difficulty there. So now we've got to think about round 6 differently. We've got to preempt those possible problems. Where might they come from? We can't rely on them playing into the front of us. So again, just gets Falcons thinking, maybe encourages them to play a little bit differently, and that could be something that you can take advantage of as w7m.
All right. I'd say more of the same, but it's kind of necessary here. When you're attacking in towards your main bedroom, you have this extension being held, so you have to open up the main breach. And when you're playing a cash CC, you've got to open the main breach. That's where things are going to start, and then going over to the single wall. I bet Volts can probably do this with his eyes closed at this point. He's had to do it in nearly every single round that we've played, except for the downstairs sites. Sure enough, that'll be opened up as well. That's his job done, and now become a bracket for the round once again. It does feel a little bit... You're always curious to know why Volts, as the top player in this series, at this point is being sort of left playing hard breach duties.
Got Solotov out on that garage catwalk. I think he is going to see some pressure. Dots has the Capit out, so will be able to play some asphyxiation bolts up there. We can see there is absolutely Solotov dead already. Lovin just goes in and finds the kill. Could he be the w7m hero? They had nothing to protect Solotov up there. It was always going to be a weak position on catwalk, and that is a big step for w7m. I'm a little bit surprised that Falcons have given catwalk away that easily, to be honest with you. And now they're just straying across windows. Again, Leakifight giving himself away. Falcons, I don't know what it is, Des, but the last 2 rounds they seem to have switched off.
Well, Leakifight has been desperate to step in and retake catwalk and has just died to Parlo in the process. It's unfortunate for him because he's tried to do what the team needed, which was to re-establish control, to slow down this execute. Instead, all they've done is bleed out one after the other. Lobin especially taking no prisoners these last couple of rounds, and now they're in a 4 versus 2. Feels like this one should be a w7m win.
Yep, Dodes has gone in from catwalk. He's getting the diffuser down. Absolutely nothing that Falcons can do to stop this, surely. But yes, Brede manages to find the Nitro. Volts, however, picks up users, and again, Brede finds himself. It was last time a 1v4. This time it's a 1v3. Diffuser is down, but it's down on the plant spot. So right now, Parlu's making his way there. He's going to go straight in and straight for the plant.
Nothing that Brede can do, no C4, no nothing to help him here. He's got to go straight up in gunfights, and there's a crossfire on him. Not that it's required. Lobin remains the hero and gives them to him 2 rounds out of what felt like a disastrous first half to begin with.
I don't know what Falcons have just done the last couple of rounds, but particularly round 6, it was kind of weird. They basically, they must have known they were giving Garage Catwalk up. They had no utility there. They had no Wamai, no Jaeger, nothing to stop the bolts. They had nothing there to help them keep it. So I'm thinking, why is Leakifight running back in there? If it's so desperate for you to keep hold of Garage Catwalk, why have you not invested in it in the first place? As it is at that point, it feels like, yes, it's make or break for the round, but to be honest, you'd already given it up. So, I don't know, it all went wrong for Falcons there, but by contrast, let's look at the good side of what w7m did. They recognised how little utility there was available on that catwalk, and they went straight in aggressively, took Solotov out, took the ground, punished Leakifight for trying to take it back. They knew one of the big win conditions in that round was getting that catwalk control, because between that and holding from the breach, you are almost free to plant. They did lose 1 try-in, but it didn't matter. Great round from w7m.
Now look at these bans coming out. W7M's again going in towards that thermite. We saw it on the last map, but it was their 3rd ban that came out in the 4th round of the half. Here it's coming in right at the very start, and not unsurprisingly, it's going to force them to take out things like the Hibana here, leaning towards the ace, and that invites the possibility of just spending more time or wasting more time on Falcons' side, slowing them down, not letting them push you aggressively. The Monty also doubles up and complements that with another ban coming against them that we know Falcons love to play. Instead, it's going to force them into, you guessed it, the Dockerby play, something we spoke about a lot throughout this series. They've stepped away from the Deimos very surprisingly, because of course that is available. Shaiko bringing the Twitch here instead of his dearly beloved Deimos.
15 seconds in, and we've got already Falcons shaping up towards the CCTV side of things. Solotov is there with the Grim. Brede is going to be more of the focus at the minute and where his positioning is, because he's the only major hard breacher on that side. There's no hard breach secondary gadgets, So it is all going to be determined by where he goes. I think the mirror window has been opened by the Twitch, so that gives the line of sight that Falcons need from CCTV window, which may free them up to be able to attack from construction side if they want. But I'll tell you what, Des, w7m have stacked up heavily to prevent a construction push. There is 3 of them. Dots, Palu and Lobin are in Master, Gym and Construction. They are giving nothing for free on that side.
What I love is that Volt's actually held on to the second mirror window until about the 227 mark, and only then did he place it down on that bathroom wall. Once they identified that Falcons had committed drones out that way, and no doubt that meant players were coming out that way, did they then choose to lock down and say, no, this is where our defense really and truly begins? What that's then drew out of Falcons is 2 or 3 players actually moving back over towards the east side of things. So they said, okay, they've committed a mirror out here. We know they've got utility down. We do not want to fight through this. Let's keep things a bit more simple and go straight through main breach. But the problem is, Tim, they haven't got any garage control. They've got no construction control. You need one of the 2 to make and execute work.
Falcons feel, I agree, a little bit lost at sea for me at the minute, Des. They kind of caught between a number of decisions, a number of choices, and they don't, it doesn't really feel like they're massively committing to any of them at the minute. Solotov has moved around to get himself onto construction window. Users and Leakafak are working underneath, looking to challenge red stairs at the minute, but they haven't got a big presence inside of the map. Dots with a brilliant first kill, but here Falcons go, relying on that gun skill. Shaco Users managed to get a kill apiece. 3 versus 3, 50 seconds left to go.
The Volts stepping back up to bring one more in. Here we go, they found the 2 more kills. They need Tim to all but shut out this round, and as you can see, well, that Fenrir is doing an absolute nightmare for them here. Managed to get 1 kill through it, but nothing else to follow. Volts into a second. w7m starting the half off with a win.
That really is game on now as w7m get themselves onto 3 rounds and are within 1 of Falcons. Again, Falcons there, Des, just seemed a little bit in between decisions. They didn't really know which way to go, where to push. I contrast that with the attacking round that we saw from w7m onto that side. w7m recognised that there was no utility in garage. They went in and they took it quickly, and it was just default from there. Get catwalk, get breach, push in and get aggressive. It was the exact same situation. w7m barely set anything up inside a garage. Falcons chose not to go and take it. They have a look at construction. They come back. They get a bit of a wobbly breach around the mirror window. They don't have a clear access in through CCTV wall. They're working underneath. It was just kind of a number of scrappy ideas that just never really came together.
Well, does it start to incite a little bit of a comeback? w7m equalising the score in this round to break into 4-4? Sure hope so. After the first 4 rounds, it looked like all hope was lost, and w7m wouldn't be able to get anything from that first half. But at least showing in the last 2 attacking rounds, and then also here in that first offensive, they've still got a bit of bite about them. They've still got some fight. No doubt spurred on by the drum band that we've got sat down in the crowd below us. Gym bedroom going to be the next site, then Tim up here on the 2nd floor. So let's see how Falcons tackle approaching this extended hold, clearing it out, and ideally catching players is one of the most important things that you can do. Weakens that defense on site itself, and also gives you a bit of reward for all the utility that you have to burn to even get anywhere near the site in the first place.
Let's see if they can do a better job of ticking boxes here. Opening walls, these sorts of things really shouldn't be too much of a problem. They should be taking care of utility and breachers very early in the round. There's no bandit, no Kaid to slow them down. They need to make sure that they're getting aggressive through thermite or not. We can see, as I would like, the castle barricades being opened up nice and quickly. CCTV wall dealt with. Need to now start pressuring these defenders. Don't allow them to stay in their positions. Volt is getting a little bit aggressive and pushing out of that radio door, but that should now slow down as we see catwalk wall has been opened up and Falcons in control of cache and CCTV. This has been a much better start to the round from them. w7m have been all forced back to site.
They're okay with this because they've managed to chew through all the Selmas. They got rid of a few ex-Kairos in the process. A bunch of drones have rolled on through. It's okay for w7m. It's not about necessarily winning the round out on the hold. It's about wasting time and drawing in utility. And about 1 minute and 15 was wasted, and all that utility has been worked through at the same time. You'd count that as a win.
Breeder just trying to work his way into construction with the shield so that he can again start forcing w7m. What Falcons want to do now is just keep surrounded. Well, that's what they want to do. Solotov picks up a big headshot onto Dots, but really they want to keep this sort of, they've got them ensnared at the minute and they just need to drive them in closer and closer, get them on each other's on each other's toes. Don't give them any room to move. Don't give them any room to fight you. And right now, that's what they're doing. They get themselves in construction. They need to apply a little bit of pressure elsewhere. They've got South Balcony in construction. They could do with, much like I said about w7m, maybe logistics hatch, maybe jacuzzi wall, get something else going on.
Lubin being an absolute rat here as well, lay down in front of the window. They won't know that he's there until, of course, they jump in, and then it's a guaranteed death. Shaiko falling down, w7m starting off the defense strong. He hits him with 2 kills going their way. Lubin now finished off as Usus finds him stepping inside a construction window. A 3 versus 3 and almost no time to play. How does this end? 15
seconds left to go. They need to make a move. Usus finds his man. 3 versus 2, and they have got people on both sides here of Falcons. Can they make a move from logistics? Yes, almost. Palu is going to be taken. His vault's taken out. Palu last alive. Low health. Liquify with a big moment at the end there. Pushing in from logistics, and that presence somewhere other than South Balcony and construction paid dividends for Falcons. They split their forces. They had w7m pinched in between, and they mopped them up as they tried to rotate. Great play from Falcons. 5-3.
It's great that they get an early attacking round on the board as well, Tim. We haven't seen w7m put together 4 attacks back-to-back and really leave it all up to Falcons at the bitter end of things here. They're able to get it done early and put themselves up to 5-3. That means now coming into round 9, the round that we often speak about as being the cornerstone of most games of Siege, Tim, we've got a bit of a predicament. If Falcons win the round and go up 6-3, you don't really back w7m to recover 3 rounds in a row, but if w7m can win, they keep us within 1 round of striking distance, and things then feel like it's only going one way, and that's probably towards a bitter end in overtime, the same way that it was back in Montreal.
At the minute, it just depends. It feels like it depends what you get from Falcons round to round. There's no real consistency for them. It seems to be all or nothing, and they come out looking like absolute world beaters or kind of leave you scratching your heads. That's been the story of round 7 and 8 there, but they at least carry the momentum of a world beater round in round 8 to push them forward into round 9. w7m going to go down to the basement. That's where they're going to try to hold on here. They need this round at least. Like you said, gets them back in touching distance. It's 5-4. They build from there.
Rim's trying to roam around the whole map here as well. 2 players on the top floor. We have 1 holding around that ground floor on the bar as well. 2 down on site. So quite a spread from w7m, really inviting Falcons in to have to clear the entire map and work their way through them. It's going to be a little bit more difficult than usual without things like the Docker be on side. Yes, they're lent towards that Grim, but the Grim alongside the Captain Tower is much more for the execute, Tim. So right now, Falcons are being pulled into playing mini-games around the map and having to clear it out before they can even think about the site.
Moving across on the sweep is Solotov. Surely has intel ahead of him, sees the logistics wall opened up as well, so he knows that he might be suffering to a crossfire here, as there are multiple operators up on this top floor with him. At the minute, it is Lobin and Palu that he is going to have to play in towards. Palu just holding the angle inside of logistics. He knows that it's a tough one for Solotov to be able to push into, so much so that Solotov has dipped himself away. It's leaking back, who takes the challenge, but manages to damage Palu. Lobin steps in to back his teammate, and it is 5 versus 4.
It's so good they were looking to fall back together there, because Lobin in the perfect place at the perfect time to follow his teammate down, secures them a freebie, and Liquify will be kicking himself that he didn't pick up not just 1, but both of those kills for himself. Shaiko's trying to go direct towards side to get a freebie for himself, but it's been punished for that. Again, Bolt's put down to low HP. It feels like nothing can go Falcons' way in this round, Tim. They might as well be battling their way back in. Lobin gone, and a 2 versus 4, but for me, this feels like it's that 5-4 score I was speaking about.
They've just been surprised by 1 inside a kitchen. Solotov does manage to take down Volt. 2v3, but a failure to deal with the top floor is going to punish them. Palu managing to pick up Solotov. Uses low health, 45 seconds. Has no choice here, really, but to just drop down to site and see what he can get going. He's got no diffuser in hand, so he needs to play for kills. He's left that behind him, and I don't think Falcons realistically expect to be coming away with anything from this round.
A little bit of a semi-unofficial timeout, I'd imagine, if anything else as well. Like, you know, it's very unlikely he brings out a big 1 versus 3 here without the diffuser. Sure enough, w7m close it down. Falcons now probably starting to feel the heat a little bit, Tim. Because w7m are once again just 1 round behind.
Certainly warming up in the arena with the loud of the w7m fans just increasing round after round after round. The drums continue to pound, and w7m continue to push forward, continue to refuse to be pushed out of this game. 5-4. We have the bands coming in, and where are they going to go? We're going to see the Azami and the Ace. Now that's interesting from w7m because Falcons have been struggling on that hard breach. That's not going to make it any easier.
We need to abuse the shield, okay guys? Yeah. It's really important. They are too bad when you're using some shields. Other things, the plan was good, but we did a thing alone, 1 by 1. It's not good, guys, okay? Yeah. We have the info on the guy office. We have to play this together, guys, okay? Try to help each other. Okay? Yeah, try to help each other. It's really important, guys. Okay? Yeah. Let's go, guys. But the rest, everything is good, guys. The mentality, the code, everything. Just play together, guys. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, guys. Abuse Demos as well. Abuse Demos as well, guys. The only round.
You heard the final call there, Tim, was the one that I was kind of surprised you haven't seen more. Abuse Deimos.
Yeah.
We know that they're very capable of doing it, but the other key thing that you probably heard repeated a good few times there was play as a team, make 3, 2, 1 counts, absolutely. Yep. And you saw that a little bit in the last round when we had Leakafat marching his way forwards. It was very much him ahead of the curve. It was the same with Shaiko hitting Moto, trying to get a backstab to go through. It feels more trying to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right?
Yeah, exactly that. I think Falcons need, like I said, need to, on the rounds that they've struggled with, it's kind of like, it's almost a lack of committing. I mean, they were a little bit unfortunate on that top one. It was well played. It wasn't really that Leakafat lost the fight. It was just well played by w7m. Like you said, you know, retiring from top floor together just meant that Lobin could impact, and it's something that we talk about so often, is playing as a pair, playing as a team, making sure that you're in a position to be able to impact on gunfights that your teammate gets into. Even if Palu loses his life there, Lobin still gets the refrag. As it was, yeah, a little bit of luck went in the way of w7m, so they came away with both of those operators. But even then, generally speaking, it's just that, you know, solid siege basics of working together meant that they were in a position to be able to do that. So w7m certainly coming out and winning that round. Falcons, as they said, as Stuflet said, just a little bit individual at times. Need to make sure they're working together. Need to make sure they're using that utility. Like I said, though, coming in, the ace ban is going to affect them. We have already seen them, even with IQ on side, even without KE Bandit, struggling to get walls open at times. That's just got more difficult.
Not forgetting, Tim, of course, if Falcons win this game and make it through, because they've got an all-Brazilian game in our next quarter of the day, Loud versus Fury, I think it'll be the first time since Pro League Season 9 finals that we'll have had a team from each region in our semi-finals at a tournament.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
It might just be that way, Des, as Leakafat manages to take down Lobin. Advantage Falcons. Attack timeout might just be doing them some good. Volks takes a whole ton of damage as well. He really cannot be getting into any unnecessary fights, but Deimos taken out. Dordes finding Shaiko, 4 versus 4.
Hard thing to do to bring down Shaiko, and Deimos is a bit of a monster with that operator. However, that being offline takes the scans away from you for one, but also gets Shaiko off the board. They go for it, but no, Leakafac's found his man. Volts there with a golden opportunity, almost managing to mow down 2 players, but instead, he's the one losing his life.
The big problem for Falcons here is that this is just getting themselves established inside of the map. They've lost 2 already. They've not gone anywhere near site yet. They've gone nowhere near CCTV and cash. There is so much more work for them to do to be able to close this out. And right now, w7m, they're happy to play their positions. They need to take logistics to Falcons. It's the next big fight.
I don't think they know about the castle. No, they don't. It's a free one. They've got sucked into the man behind Des there and paid the price. Palu serving as the perfect bait, and Dots has gone fishing and got his reward.
And now W7M can just play the trade game, Des. They can just go 1-for-1 as they fall back towards site. Let Falcons do the work. 35 seconds left to go. Uses manages to get himself in sight, but he doesn't have the diffuser. He can't even work as a distraction. Breeder is going to be taken down by Palu. Uses 1v3. He tries to take a fight onto the door. Does he look to mix his position up? No! Dodes takes him out as he tries to reload. W7M, they get themselves another, and it's 5-5. The Brazilians fight back.
Oh dear, Tim. 2 rounds, and we could have W7M moving on through. The same applies to Falcons, but we're all very, very aware at this point of where the momentum sits. Falcons, try as they might here. They've had a couple of high moments throughout these rounds, like Volts, for example, not getting that 2K spray down on Jacuzzi Wall will be a moment you look at and think, wow, they've avoided death there. But in what follows, W7M make it look too easy. Now come back to the words we heard during the timeout. Play as a team. We've still got players on Falcons all trying to do little things by themselves here, and they're paying the price for it.
It was, again,
like this, entirely alone.
Yeah. It was just such a high cost to pay for not getting anywhere near sight. You know, because they don't have ace anymore, they pretty much just have forgone the normal process there. There was no breach at all in the CCTV wall, not even a secondary gadget. There was absolutely nothing. So it meant that W7M could be completely secure, because you know what? If you have an open CCTV wall, you ain't coming through garage, so they know it's all construction side. And it's just that, it's that third ban for W7M really paying dividends, because it just said to them, we know exactly where you're coming from. You've only got enough hard breach to deal with construction wall, so we're just going to flood master logistics. I loved the little bait play inside of logistics. Palu challenges onto door from behind the desk, so Leakerback goes in knowing he needs to challenge behind desk, and the castle's there to mop him up. Just great stuff from W7M. Understanding the bans, and more importantly, understanding the impact it's going to have on the way Falcons play.
Interesting attack here where they're not fully opening up the CC breach. More speaks anything else that you want to put someone on the rappel and stop members of W7M being able to push down onto window and make the play from there. It's why you've also got Shaiko, who was just sat on a drone for a second, believe he got taken out by Volts, which now is going to invite a little bit of trouble. There's no one currently playing on the rappel towards this CC breach, which means Volts can still step across to the window and look to challenge any players playing on it. So Falcons here maybe going a little bit too light on their hold. It depends on whether or not we want to see W7M hold it down. All their focus instead, as you can see from the 3 blue outlines on your screen, has moved instead towards Jacuzzi.
Palu's just going to be positioned in behind the mirror window. I think they were hoping to maybe clear off. You can breach the top and bottom of the reinforcements, but you got to get it just right. It's kind of like doing a Maverick trick where you take out the top and bottom and open up the entire reinforcement, but that hasn't paid off. Again, it's these difficulties, Des, that they are having. They're continuing to try, but the difficulties with the hard breaching is going to cost them. That could honestly be a game-winning round 10 ban coming in from W7M.
That could be. I think they've actually just really mucked this up, Tim. They're going to have to crouch in through this hole now. Like, if you're really not confident on it opening everything up, then just put it above so you've still got a spot to be able to run in from. Yeah, it's narrow, but at least you can still get in. Now it's a massive risk for them. Solitov caught out completely by a flank from below. Volt's still going for another. This is a second player. Leakerback has chosen to try and make a move, and they paid the price for it. Another one falls down. W7M are into a 4 versus 1, and they're going to go up to match and series point here.
It is surely just a matter of time. Breeder up on the rooftop. There is nothing that he can do here.
Timeout for them now.
It really is. It's just take an opportunity to have another discussion. The tactical timeout that they had a couple of rounds ago has not done the business, so there will now be further discussions between the team at least. Breeder's going to have a little look. Maybe there's an opportunity, maybe there's not. He might drop in and take a gunfight or two. It's a bold call to out-and-out sacrifice the rest of the round to have a chat with each other. It's clear, I think that's what's going on, but it's a bold call when it takes you on to match point. There's series point, because one more round and it's over. And honestly, I think we really are seeing the sort of impact that this new banning process coming with CJX will have on the esports, and W7M have just used it absolutely perfectly.
And there may be a few wondering what happens when we get to OT. W7M, they start on the defense, Tim, and we have seen defensive domination so far throughout this map. I think the Falcons now, at this point, you're just trying to hold on as best you can. You've opened the door. W7M has strolled in through there and made the place their own. They've replaced the wallpaper, Tim, moved in their own furniture, and are just a single round away from locking in their spot in a semi-final on home soil.
And let's not forget how this one started, Des. 4 rounds in a row at the beginning went to Falcons. They were absolutely cruising to begin with. W7M were struggling to get themselves into the game, but they just clung on with their fingernails. They kept themselves in it. And it just goes to show, the longer that you can do that for, the longer that you can keep yourself active, the more that you can just build that momentum, build that energy, and continue to get yourself back into games.
All right, chosen ourselves down into the bunker for this one, Tim. Basement going to be the site that could decide everything in this series. At least looking at W7M. A couple of trap operators on side, 3 if you want to include the Goyo there as well. Keeping themselves busy around the map and trying to waste Falcons' time as best they can. It's worked well for them. Like the Falcons are leaning back into what has worked for them historically, the Blitz. Alongside the Dockerby and the Deimos will let them clear the map quickly. And being quick is what they've got to do, because they found them running that clock down and being left with very little time, having to take unfavourable gunfights or being forced into situations where clearly they have no intel. And it has hurt them multiple times over. The W7M, they can run that clock down for a couple of minutes with these roamers. It's as good as theirs.
Use that vertical angle. Shaiko gets punished, and the W7M crowd here absolutely erupt as that kill goes in. Falcons now seriously on the back foot, only 4 lives away from leaving the Rio Reload tournament. Solotov manages to find Volps, keeps them in it a little bit longer. 4 versus 3 though. Solotov taking more damage, but still stepping up for his team, getting the kill onto Dordes. 3v3, maybe a little respite for Falcons.
It must feel so stressful, feeling like you've got W7M players coming out of the walls to punish you. They haven't cleared out that top floor. They chose to go in below and try and make the business happen from there, instead of just lost players on the way through. Fortunate, as you say, to balance things out. Solid's for 1, working magic, and pre-fire, and they don't finish off Dots. He's down to about 40 HP, but that's enough, Tim, to walk away on your own 2 feet.
Just going to take out the bulletproof, trying to move that utility, start clearing that space for if the diffuser does need to go down. They don't have it in hand at the minute. It's something that Falcons might need to consider, but right now they are focused on clearing utility and getting another kill or 2, trying to create themselves a little bit of space.
Look at this, the push-up from Logan as well. Was hoping to try and find out. I want to say it was Yuzu's, but not quite finding his man. Vertical control also being established here, still being poked up by W7M. They're not giving them a second to rest on their laurels. Leakifak is in here. Please watch out for the environmental this time. Let's not lose another player to it. Right sort of idea as the Goyo is on the other side. Steps up and Leakifak's found his man. W7M, surely don't give this one away.
Leakifak starts getting that diffuser down. This is what Falcons need, a distraction. Give W7M something else to think about now. Play the ball. Solotov manages to cut down Palu, and this one, Des, it's gone there. We're going to overtime.
When you need him most, Solotov has gone absolutely nuclear. A 3K in the round. The second kill, probably shouldn't have had it, but hit a wonderful shot. We've restored the bans that we had from the last time W7M were on the defense. 3 rounds to decide where this goes, and W7M has said are on the defense here, Tim.
They do have the advantage there.
You'd lean towards them, but you just don't know, given how these games played out so far.
No, it really is absolutely anybody's. It has flip-flopped back and forward an unbelievable number of times. It's been a lot about teams winning rounds, which I like. There's been mistakes, but they've always been punished by the other side. And that was a great round from Falcons, stepping up when they needed to most. Leakerfack taking charge in that situation, getting that diffuser down, and that was the beginning of the end for W7M in round 12. So, as you said, Des, we now move through overtime. All 6 bans will be active in every single round, and it will be the teams that they banned in the relevant rounds, if you will. So Falcons, it is their defensive bans that are now used for this round, and that will switch in the next round, so on and so forth.
Tim, you asked me a question at the very, very start of this game. Do you remember what it was?
I don't. Oh, what, the map or the entire game? I did say, are we going to have a hero?
Where is that hero for W7M? We've just seen who it is for Falcons, although that said, Tim, even across the
Everybody's
whole board,
so even, there are no heroes yet.
So who's going to become the hero? There's only 3 rounds to don that cape and make a difference. At least here Falcons are learning from a past mistake, Tim, not relying only on a Hibana. They're going to go back to bringing along a Maverick with them at the same time. Right call, I think, as well, given how it completely cost them last time.
Yeah, they've really struggled with the breaching, even to a degree when the ace was on the card. It still wasn't, you know, they weren't getting as much open as you might like to see. So, yeah, I think definitely bring this along and try and get it done. But at the minute, it still hasn't done the job just yet. They've done a bit of work on that wall, but the Maverick still not able to get it fully taken out yet.
I think they're high enough to get a drone through it as well, so it's not quite the prettiest. And Volps is still skirting around here. See him on the other side of the reinforced wall, taking out drones, taking out his Kairos. Not forgetting he's got that shotgun in hand with a C4 at the ready, and that's a good way to get through a wall. Tim, smash it with the shield and start your charge on through.
Yep, that'll do the job. Nade goes over the wall just to clear out any utility behind it, force any players away, which is now the case. We've got Cash and CCTV in the control of Falcons, so they can start using that south balcony as well. Last time that they had some success on this site, it came from the push through logistics. So hopefully Falcons, they learn from that, and they're going to push the other side as well. W7M need to be aware of that. They need to make sure that they don't allow it this time.
Should be able to spray these off. I was going to say, yeah, the player inside of Los Angeles Plank should be able to help out, and sure enough, Lobin does just that. The mirror staying intact, and this is the thing, Tim, there's layers to this defense.
It's great.
Taking a minute and a half to deal with Cash CC. Only now they're trying to deal with that mirror. Shaiko steps in, 2 kills come through. Will Falcons get the attacking round win they sorely need?
It will be an absolutely pivotal moment in this game, you feel, whoever wins these attacks. And right now, it's looking good for Falcons. W7M are in some serious trouble. They need to find their hero, and they need to find them now. Volps is underneath. Palu picks up Shaiko Dordes. He responds as well onto Solotov. 3v3. Volps finds the Nitro. They don't just need one, Des. They've got 3 heroes here who've just turned a 3v5 into a 3v2. And Falcons on the back foot. Palu, Dordes find the rounds. And W7M from absolutely nowhere. They hold on.
It might not be the Fantastic Four, Tim, but there's certainly a perfect trio there when they need the most. Palu with 2 huge kills at the end. Just when it looked like Falcons had done enough to get the round win. It gets snatched away from them cruelly, and once again, W7M sit at match and series point. Falcons are going to take us down to the basement for what could be their last round here at Reload.
The W7M supporters continue to be in fine voice as they're back. The Brazilian boys to get this one done. As you said, that one's got to be heartbreaking for Falcons, Des. 5 versus 3. It starts to feel like you've got it, surely, but W7M just had the answers. They were so aware of the potential for any pressure to come through logistics. We saw them keep checking the hatch. Falcons never went down that route, but W7M were ready for it, and they were able to just press back into them. Volps' move underneath with the Nitro was big. Falcons had done nothing to cut that off, to prevent that from happening. I think maybe they were a little bit overconfident in that 5v3. We just need to push forward. We've got the numbers. But we forgot about billiards, we forgot about bar, we forgot about a Nitro, and it hurt them. W7M looking great in the last round, but can they do it on the attack? 7-6. Will we go all the way?
TBD, Tim. TBD. I'll let you know in 2.5 minutes' time. As this round shapes up, it's a very similar comp to what we saw out of Falcons actually earlier on when they were on the attack. Blitz to get a lot of fast rounds. The Dockerby, a Lion and Tim. This train ain't stopping. They're going straight towards sight here. Blown out, stopped on the one-way. Now out towards the left, there are two players in Arsenal. They found one and may have been able to at least stem the bleeding for now. But the Blitz is in, finds one more. It's a second kill. w7m, a 4v3 versus 2, Tim.
w7m have truly full sent this. Solotov, he could be the rescue mission here. He just needs to get himself down the main stairs and have an impact. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He finds one, but not the second that he needs. Users has got it all to do. Does starts to put that diffuser down, but he's so low health, Des. He's so low health, Marlu. He's on the cover.
They've got the split. They've got red pings. They know where these players are. Users knows, but he's on the other side of the door. And now there's a blitz back. It had to be Marlu to get the final kill, to finally overcome his nemesis and take w7m into the semi-finals.
What a performance from the Brazilians in the last couple of rounds. That overtime was perfectly played by them. They took a big chance in that last round. They really rolled the dice on that blitz. They fully committed to it, Des. They went in en masse, got the kills that they needed, and as you say, poetic almost that Palu, of anybody, comes in and gets that final kill to push his team into a semi-final. Palu, of course, struggling through the years to win something with Liquid, continues here at Reload in his first tournament with w7m.
And could it happen on home soil? The Falcons now feel that their own curse continues. We said already, the only place they've managed to beat w7m previously was at the Esports World Cup or Gamers 8. They can never do it in official Ubisoft competitions, and that curse continues.
And it also guarantees that we will have a Brazilian team in the final for the local supporters, Des.
It's a great point, because now that also means there's no EU team left. We've still got another Brazilian team to join them, of course, in that matchup tomorrow. But as you say, Tim, that guarantees a Brazilian team on home soil in our grand final on Sunday.
What a matchup that is going to be. Whoever it is that will face off, w7m really putting down a claim here, I think, that they could go on and win this whole thing. They showed great resilience throughout. They were beaten up at the beginning of club. That is the reality. Falcons were well on top of that situation, but I come back to that round 10 ban. Taking the ace out, we saw multiple times that Falcons, a top team, were struggling to get their breaching done without Thermite and ace. It punished them, and it was a master stroke from Norris, from the team, with that banning strategy.
Just found the answer through this team, as many have before, and I'm sure many will continue to do so. You'll always ask questions for Falcons about when do they finally find a tournament win. It's going to keep on eluding them for now, and w7m, that gravy train, just will not stop. However, our interview is ready, Tim, down on the stage. Let's go down to Inanivi now.
Vamos, Brasil!
Isso é Brasil!
That's the line! Isso significa que não importa o que aconteça, a gente tem dois times brasileiros garantidos para amanhã na semifinal e um time brasileiro garantido na semifinal. It's gonna be w7m.
Yeah, of course, it was a difficult match, but we could rise back, and that's it. I'm just so happy.
It wouldn't be an R6 event in Brazil without an incredible w7m comeback. Of course, it's a different roster, but the atmosphere here in this arena felt very similar to the one in Sao Paulo last year. For you, Palu, you take another step forward. What was the energy like for you as a player, hearing the noise around you?
I've said many times, the Brazilian crowd is amazing. Like, it's just so much fun to play with them. Like, even if you just kill a random guy, you just confirm the kill, they are screaming, so it's amazing, it's amazing.
Exatamente, essa atmosfera aqui, essa energia do Brasil é única, é incrível, vocês são incríveis. And your story with w7m is just beginning. What an amazing chapter, right?
Yeah, of course. I spent many years in Liquid, but right now I'm on another step. I'm so happy to be with the guys. I think we are playing amazing, and we just have like a bright future in front of us. Yeah, that's just the beginning.
Falou que a história dele tá só começando, ele tá adorando jogar aqui com os meninos, tem uma sinergia muito boa com eles e a gente tá amando assistir eles por aqui.
2 last questions, briefly. Number 1, how much are you enjoying playing with this roster?
It's amazing. I said like I have played with both, but right now it's so much different. Like the synergy that we are having in the matches, and doesn't matter if we are down 4-0, 4-1. We are like playing to win it, and we don't care. Like we are just playing ourselves, and we are having fun, you know.
Falou que ele já jogou com o Volpes, mas o que tá jogando aqui tá sendo muito divertido, que não importa assim, se eles estão perdendo ou ganhando, eles estão competindo, estão indo pra cima e estão nessa energia muito boa aí de competição.
And finally, look, hopefully you make it through the semi-final, but just in case you don't, you are a legend of this game, you're in front of your home crowd, in your home tongue, take this microphone, what do you want to say to your fans?
Pô, galera, eu queria agradecer a todo mundo que torceu aí, conseguimos buscar esse comeback aí, foi absurdo. E é só o começo, né? Eu acho que essa line tem muito potencial, espero que todos vocês torçam pra gente aí durante a caminhada. Tamo junto.
Parabéns, obrigada, Palu! Tamo junto, nosso ursinho carinhoso. Parabéns.
You know what they say. Small changes can make a big difference. Go on, try me. You're in for a real shock.
after map 1, we were a little concerned for w7m and the Brazilian fans, but boy did they turn that around quick. A reverse sweep sees w7m straight through to the semi-finals where they await the winner between Furia and Loud. I mean, what a game, what an arena, what a time to be alive.
It was all going to plan until it wasn't there, Ro. It was honestly, what a game of throws that was from Falcons. 4-2 up on their defenses, and then they fell apart in attack. W7m, I think, the perfect strategy once they got into their defense. It was very clear to see. They were riding out their attacks. Once they got onto the defense, ban the way that they banned in the operators, play behind the utility, cause Falcons problems, and win out on the defense. We get to overtime, and even then, they make some huge plays to get it over the line.
Falcons started with such a huge lead, a 4-0. Like we said before, they started in defense. They had always struggled in attack, so they put as many rounds as they could. As soon as they started losing these two defense, I was like, okay, w7m is coming back. Yeah. Clearly some fundamental issues in Falcons. Yeah. Some problems with some basic stuff that were enabled every time that w7m were playing in defense. Yep. They hold Jacuzzi. What do? They extend all the way to Cash. Yeah. They hold Cash. What do? They extend all the way to Jacuzzi. They hold Basement. They extend all 3 floors. They were fighting for every tooth and nail in this building.
Jack, one thing I noticed there, and look, it might even speak to Palu's result as a personal player, but you saw what it meant to him. More so, you saw what it meant to the team to have him there, to feel that energy. I mean, each and every player went up to him and almost congratulated him solely.
Yeah, he's a huge player. I mean, obviously, with w7m, they keep replacing their rosters with world-class players. They did it with Volps, they've now done it with Palu. They keep upgrading and upgrading and upgrading, but also for Palu, it means so much to him specifically. We talked about how long he's been chasing a title, especially on Brazilian soil, to get over the line in such a close match, and Palu to finish it all off. Poetic.
And he's mentioned in that interview just how different this is, being in this team and this atmosphere than Liquid, and it seems to be working so far.
It certainly does, and hopefully it just continues to compound as we get further on in this tournament. But there was one specific moment that we talked about, Jack, that completely turned the tide.
Yeah, this was Lobin making the huge plays. Like we said, they picked up Volps, they picked up Palu, but it's Lobin, the old guard, walking up a waddle up main stairs. 0-4 down, he has the confidence to just waddle himself up main stairs. There isn't a drone in front of him, it's just instinctual. 2 kills, opens the rounds up. That, for me, was the biggest turning point. It gets them 2-4 on their attacks. They have something to defend out then, Leo.
At this point, 2 rounds in attack, they switch to defense. What do? And this is key. In the new operator ban system in CGX, you can adapt. What do? They ban Thermite. Yep. They ban Ace. Yep. What did we see consistently Falcons struggling with? Opening the walls. Yep. If we take a look
Hibana breach.
The Hibana breach, for example, if we take a look at that footage, you'll see breaching Jacuzzi with 4 pellets above, 4 pellets below, and they could not do it. They struggled, and that's one key wall you need to get rid of. And this at 149 in a round, you cannot do that, because that was one issue. When they were attacking Jacuzzi, they didn't get rid of the castles. When they were attacking Cash, they were not opening server wall. When they're attacking Jim again here, they cannot open Jacuzzi wall. All basic fundamental stuff was not here.
I don't want to take anything away from w7m because it's all down to w7m's game plan and creating problems for Falcons to solve. But Falcons attacking was absolutely amateur on Clubhouse. That was not semi-finals, quarterfinals of an international tournament. That's stuff you see in tier 4. That was absolutely terrible from them.
And on that note,
you can see how mad we are as European analysts.
That's our best team in Europe.
That's our best team, and our hopes are gone.
As we were singing before, na 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 na, right? Before we get on with the rest of the evening, the detail brought to you by Blacklight. There is a specific moment, or should I say moments?
Yeah, there's going to be a great duality in these clips when we get into them. And it's actually going to be one of our own in terms of Shaiko. The Blacklight detail is actually going to be how aggressive he can be. 1-5 down, he's actually negative in this moment. Look how aggressive he is, impacting his own castle, how much confidence he is playing inside of. And that's the big thing when you're a professional player, Leo. You've got to play with confidence and back yourself every time. Doesn't get a kill in either of those engagements. The risks he's taking, the aggression, the confidence that he has is so good and so important, because even when you're 1-5 down, we've just seen it with Lobin, but also Shaiko as well, you've got to still make the plays as if you was 5-1 up.
Now this is going to be a different take. Now look, his game IQ. I know we've spoken a lot about it. New CGX element here, the gas tank here. He shoots 1 bullet to prevent Volps from rushing. At this point, Volps is sending his smoke grenades. And as you can see, as soon as Shaiko realizes that the Blitz is still going to push in, he shoots the rest of the gas tank. And that enables Shaiko to kill the Blitz instantly and get rid of him using the new features from CJax.
Duality, aggression, backing himself in gunfights, but then also using the utility to get a kill as well.
And unfortunately, on that note, he will not be returning for the rest of the tournament because they are done and dusted. EU, they're gone. However, if you're a Brazilian fan, hell, if you're a Siege fan, this is one you do not want to miss. Furia take on Loud after the break.